Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 75th Annual State Boys High School Hockey Tournament, sponsored by the Minnesota State High School League. We extend our congratulations to all the teams competing in today's tournament. The 2019 MSHSL State Hockey Tournament is presented by the authority of the Minnesota State High School League. All rights to the event and presentation thereof are reserved by the Minnesota State High School League. Spectators who engage in engagements themselves with others, interfere with the rights of others to view the game, will be removed from the arena with no refund of admission. We also want to remind you, this tournament is a smoke-free event. Your cooperation is appreciated. If you have not done so already, please stop by.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from the Xcel Energy Center. You hear the sounds of Dave Wright, as he, of course, is going to be on the public address for us here at the MNHockey.tv, of course, in the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament. Along with Patrick Lilia, I'm Pete Wagner. It's time. It's here. It's the state tournament, Patrick, and you're going to be on the call for all 4 games today. You're my right-hand man. You've been a terrific asset to the TV this year. And, boy, we called a lot of games, and here it is. It's the mothership. It's the mother of all tournaments. It's as good as it gets right here from the X.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on board, Pete, especially, and for the kind words as we open the broadcast this morning. We got the 4 games today, as Pete said, and a lot of fresh faces. Of course, the big story who's not here, Hermantown, after 9 consecutive seasons appearing here at the Class A level, knocked out by Greenway in the section final. Have 2 teams making their first appearances in North Branch, who we'll see first, and Minnesota River, who we'll see in our second game coming up this morning. So, Pete, I think it's got like some unpredictability given all the fresh faces. You know, some of them, I mean, a team like East Grand Forks, missed out last year, but are, sandwiching appearances the year before that, and now returning this year. So maybe a little bit of a stretch to say all new faces, but a little more wide open.
Along with new faces always comes the adage of jitters. There's always that factor that goes into it, and I think it's something that we need to take account of. Especially in these early games for North Branch. You commented where you felt like half the town was here already, and with fresh faces and new blood always brings new enthusiasm. And the one area of growth that I've noticed in the state high school hockey tournament has been at the Class A tournament and the Class A tournament level. It's been really good.
Absolutely, and we talked about North Branch. They've really embraced that underdog role. If you haven't really read much about the Vikings, they're a team that just barely has enough players to put together their own team. They don't have their own rank. They share with Chisago Lakes, who's the very team they had to beat in the section final to get to the X this afternoon. They arrived to get ready for the day before 5 in the morning. That's when they get everything together. But the town certainly has embraced them, and they've capped off really the best 3-year stretch they've had in school history now with a state title appearance after they won just 3 games only a few years ago.
Well, and along with that, they've got the. I mean, let's just call it out as we see. This is how it goes. They've got the challenge of keeping players in the loop and keeping players engaged in the program, and I think that's also a key component too. And they've been able to do it here. And getting here to the state tournament is a big deal. Not having the big bad wolf, the Hermantown Hawks, in the house doesn't hurt any of these teams here. You've got Matamidi, who's looking for their first ever state title. You also have St. Cloud Cathedral playing here in about 14, 15 minutes. That's what it looks like it's going to be. So there is plenty of drama that can play out, no question.
So and on the flip side, we haven't really had the chance to talk about Cathedral yet, but they're the number 2 seed. They put up points in bunches. They outscored their opponents in sectionals 20-1 as they finished that off, the icing on the cake, knocking out defending runner-up Alexandria by a measly 4-1 margin compared to the other 2 games that they played in their sectional tournament. So the challenge will be in front of North Branch. Of course, Cathedral, as you might expect, a team that people are expecting to put together a run here in St. Paul, perhaps end up there on Saturday afternoon.
Well, we'll see what comes about from that. Of course, they have the 11 o'clock start time here for these games, but it really translates to about 11:20. The Zambonis are both on the ice. They're about to wrap up, and when they conclude, we're going to have the teams take to the ice, and then what we'll do for your broadcast, we'll send it downstairs to Dave Wright as he'll introduce each and every player. We'll hear them announced live and on the air, which is kind of an exciting thing for everybody as well. For those that have jumped on board in the MNHockey.tv, our coverage this weekend is going to consist of live scoring. Todd Mulliken is behind the computer right now, dialed up. Are you going to try and track hits, buddy? Are you? Okay, well, I'm going to try. Sounds like a yes to me. And I heard he's skilled enough to even track shots so we can get shooting percentages. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, this is next level stuff here. So he's going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing my diary. I've got one I'm going to pump out while you and Nathan Olson are on the call doing this game, and also doing the game story for that. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I kind of not shied away, but leaned away from doing more of the written content, and I'm finding out there's a space for it. People want it, and basically I was making it a TV cast, and no longer. Thank you very much for checking in here at the Xcel Energy Center to make sure our audio is all working. And we are very happy and thrilled here, and happy to have everybody on board. If you're at the office, we know it's tough to work and listen to this stuff, and we are going to paint the picture the very best we can. We'd like to remind you that today's coverage is presented by Optimal Goalie. Larry Grace Jr., be sure to check him out. Larry Grace Jr. is a little bit of a different look at the goaltending deal. You can have your goaltenders, you can have your goaltender coaches, but this guy starts talking about diet. He starts talking about mental health to the game, thinking like a goalie, being a goalie, and then also feeling as though the goaltenders today have become a little more robotronic in their style of play. And now what he's doing instead is working on off-ice training to turn them into what? Athletes. Mm-hmm. So he's a great guy. I've introduced him to my friend Dan Iannazzo from the Midwest Hockey Program, who's running out, 62 summer hockey teams. The guy's got an absolute juggernaut going up in the northwestern part of Minnesota. Todd Mulliken looking at me very concerned. Edina was not mentioned there, of course, he being the Optimal Hornet fan. We'll get him through it. But Larry does a great job with his stuff, and we'll be sure. I've got to actually pull up his email address to get a hold of him. If you're on a board or if you're a goaltender parent, Larry is worth giving a call to. He definitely has got it figured out. Email Larry Grace at where are we here? Optimal Goalie, Larry at optimalgoalie.com. How about that? Also presented in part by Sportsman's Guide. They've got the big KFAN event where Beyond the Pond will be recording live from the Sportsman's Guide in South St. Paul. If you're an outdoorsman, if you need ammunition, apparel, whatever it may be in your hunting needs, get out there, check it out. Lou Danny and the crew will be there. 60% off events on all items up in the store during the event from 10 to 2. 60% is a significant number. The cool part about that store is while it has so many square feet, they have a 400,000, square foot facility that houses just about every product you would need in your outdoors needs. You can go through the catalog online, or if you want to be old school and flip through the pages, go right ahead. They'll go pick and pull for you, and so you don't have to wait for shipping or pay for shipping. It's all right there. You can hang out with Louie. You can hang out with Pat Micheletti, maybe a little Tennessee, who knows. They'll all be there. So enjoy. That's a Sportsman's Guide event. Be there and make sure you let them know we sent you. That's an awesome deal there for sure. Also presented by RGM Construction. In conjunction with Herb Brooks Foundation, RJM has been very busy and involved in the rink building, the Trier rink. They built the rink on top of a parking ramp. So they had to be very careful with what they did, and they did it. RJMConstruction.com. Check them out. If you've been in the Hopkins Pavilion previous to this year, an utter dump, they have done a terrific job in making it into something, and Todd Mulliken is not disagreeing.
Tell us what you really think about the old Hopkins
Well, I
Pavilion.
used to be the travel coordinator there, so I can say it. It was a dump. I mean, it was awful. They do great work. Check it out. And we'll be hearing from these organizations between the periods. Also presented by Brew Pub Pizza, lots of matzah. With how much cheese?
Half a pound of award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella.
How do you go wrong there? Todd Mulliken is absolutely craving it right now. They have the nice thin crust. You can bake it up in a hurry. It tastes really good. Lots of matzah and Brew Pub Pizza. Check them out at your local grocer. And by Tradition Companies, they've been with yours truly for quite some time. 7 companies in one, whether it be Homes by Tradition, Robert Thomas Homes Mortgage, Capital Bank, Wealth Management. They've got you covered across the board. That's traditionco.com. The team step on the ice. We're going to turn it over to Patrick and Nathan Olson as we'll get this game going for you right here on the MNHockey.tv.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back inside the Xcel Energy Center as we get set to introduce the two teams, the North Branch Vikings, perhaps the Cinderella of the tournament. They'll take on St. Cloud Cathedral. We talked about as big expectations as they head into St. Paul, a 24-4-0 record, and those 4 losses, no gimmies in any of those, including games against Mato Midai. As well, a couple of double-A losses in there as well. Lost to Hermantown, who is, we all know, is not here this year. Along with Nate Olson, I'm Patrick Lilia as we get things started here at the most fantastic high school tournament in America. And tell us a little bit about, it's a classic Cinderella against the big expectations. What do you see coming into this game?
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup here. The North Branch Vikings making their first trip here to the state tournament. It is the 75th boys hockey tournament here at the state tournament level, so it's an exciting time here for them, and a program without their own home rink. So they travel down to Chisago Lakes. The bus leaves at 4:30 a.m. a couple times a week from their high school, and they got to travel to practice at 5:15 in the morning because that's the only ice they got. So you've got the Cinderella story, as you mentioned, the group that has to really love the game of hockey to be involved with it for that kind of dedication and commitment. And then you've got the couple college commits, highly talented, fast transition type team, St. Cloud Cathedral, the Crusaders. They're making their 4th trip in 5 years here to the state tournament. They bowed out last year in the Section 6A final to Alexandria, who was last year's runner-up, and they're on a mission here to not only just win today, but to win this whole tournament. So it starts today. It should be interesting to watch Blake Perbix and Jack Smith and crew try and take step 1 of their 3-game step here at the state tournament to win the title. So
Perbix and Smith, you mentioned, they combined for 129 points this year between the two of them, and Perbix on his own had 59, which was the 3rd most in the state of Minnesota. That's both A and double A. So these guys can score. We talked about that. They racked up that 20-1 margin in the sectional playoffs. They just ripped their way through that, including knocking out Alexandria, the runner-up in the section final.
Yeah, no, it's a team that's led by some depth of scoring too. You've got those top guys, as you mentioned, Blake Perbix, Jack Smith, actually a Minnesota Duluth commit. He's the one that kind of really gets them going. And then don't forget about Nate Warner. He's a Minnesota commit. He only played in 13 games this year. He had a couple of injuries that he was battling with. In his first 2 seasons at St. Cloud Cathedral, he had 44 goals and 61 assists in 58 games. He's got 15 goals and 17 assists for 32 points in the 13 games he's played this year. And so it should be interesting to see here as he really gets his feet back under him. And
we're going to throw it downstairs now for the introductions that are ongoing.
Freshman defenseman number 16, Alex Longeman. Senior defenseman number 18, Justin Sachs. Senior forward number 20, Kay Kicker. Senior forward number 22, Matt Korkback. Junior forward number 28, Dawson Johnson. Junior goaltender number 31, Brandon Weinberg. Junior goaltender number 35, Jacob Turek. And sophomore forward number 38, Tucker Sachs.
What's up, Maloney?
The assistant coaches are Aaron Bislem and Toby Balowitz. Head coach Matt Cunningham, the North Branch Vikings. Now let's meet St. Cloud Cathedral. Junior defenseman number 2, Reed Bogenholm.
Mom and Dad.
Sophomore forward number 3, Jacob Herschel.
Hey, Josh.
Sophomore defenseman number 4, John Bell.
Hey, Luke Johnson.
Freshman forward number 5, Nolan Whitman. Sophomore forward number 6, Cullen Hiltner.
There you go.
Senior forward number 7, Nate Martin.
Hey, Cam. Hey, Selner.
Junior forward number 8, Nate Warder. Sophomore forward number 10, Marcus York.
Let's try to hit real quick.
Junior forward number 11, Ethan Cumming.
Hey, Grandma. Hey,
Senior
Grandpa.
defenseman number 13, Tanner Lenson.
What's up, fam?
Junior defenseman number 15, C.J. Simmons.
Thank you, God.
Senior forward number 17, Austin Hubbard. Junior forward number 20, Jack Smith.
Hey, Bianca.
Senior defenseman number 21, Luke Schmidt.
Hey, Paul, Tina, John, and Buka.
Sophomore forward number 22, Brayden Belfont. Junior forward number 27, Blake Perbix.
My mom, my grandma.
Senior forward number 29, Jackson Savoy. Senior goaltender number 30, Noah Amundsen.
Hey, Connor. Hey, Sid. Hey, Grandma.
Junior defenseman, senior defenseman number 32, Devin Mason.
Hey, Don.
And sophomore goaltender number 35, Grant Martin.
Hey, Coach David.
The assistant coaches are Ron Brown and Tom Bruce. Head coach is Derek Brown, the St. Paul Cathedral Crusaders. Here are the officials assigned for today's game. On the lines, it's Brandon Guyan of Maple Lake, Robert Erickson of Coon Rapids, and referees Jordan Lee of Albert Lee, and Marcus Smith of Mancherville. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you all please stand, remove your hats and face the flag. Join the St. Cloud Cathedral Band under the direction of Danelle Lastine Chop as they lead us in our national anthem.
We welcome you back inside the Xcel Energy Center. The teams have been introduced. The starting lineup's about to be announced. Again, you're on MNHockey.tv along with Nate Olson and Patrick Lilia. Pete Wagner producing for us this afternoon on behalf of all of our crew here. The final thoughts coming into this one, Nate.
Yeah, it should be excited to kick the tournament off. It's always a really fun time to see the fans come in here and all the young kids from these programs looking up to these idols, for lack of a better term, and just wishing that their day is going to come someday. So it's the dream, the moment a lot of these guys have thought about since they first laced them up way back in Knights, And you've got, as you mentioned, kind of a David versus Goliath battle here. St. Cloud Cathedral, who many expected to be here, expect to compete for the title. And the North Branch Vikings out of Section 5A, again, are here as their first trip as a school. They 3 years ago only had 8 wins, and that was a school record for wins. And now here they are at Xcel Energy Center and growing the program. They've got the bleach blonde hair and the red jerseys, white stripes, red pants, white helmets, and the black trim. And you've got the St. Cloud Cathedral Crusaders in the yellow jerseys, blue pants and helmets, white trim, ready to rock and roll here at Xcel Energy Center.
Didn't really get a chance to talk much about the big three for North Branch of their own. Tucker Sachs, Joey Kirchner, and Cody Crowell, who combined for 17 points in the sectional. So certainly they've got talent on their side as well. They've embraced that underdog role very well. North Branch will be moving from left to right, the red jerseys and the white trim, as Nate mentioned, on the left end, as well as St. Cloud Cathedral on the right end of the ice. They will be moving from right to left as we get going, as North Branch controls in their own zone. Alive in their own zone, trying to bring it down to the near side, or chipping it back out to neutral ice, and then taking a hit as Kate Cooker as it's sent down into the Cathedral zone, where the Crusaders will possess their reversing direction around his net. With John Bell. Bell will play this one up to the far side boards. No, Bell playing it back down to the near side boards. And chipped out into the neutral zone by Reed Bolgenholm. Bolgenholm chips it ahead. Is coming in offside are the Crusaders. Jack Smith bringing that one in. Just a little bit of a step behind his teammates. We'll have a neutral zone face-off with 16:32 to go here in the first period. No score between St. Cloud Cathedral and North Branch.
Yeah, pass kind of caught him a little bit inside on the hands there. He had to reach to his right side of him. Just slowed him up enough to get him offside.
As Cathedral again controls, they'll dump this one down into their offensive zone as they chip this one over the glove of Jordan Axberg for North Branch. Will be held in. There's a long shot, and that one saved by Turek as he quickly knocked that one up into the seats. A long shot from Talon Lenzen from the near side point. We'll have a face off to the right of Sachs here.
Always nice if you're Turek to get that first puck to kind of be a, lack of a better term, easy save. So he got that one up into the corner, and now he's gotten some rubber already.
As Axberg played it around, now he tried to take it back around on the near side boards, but it got by him. They think Cloud Cathedral able to hold in at the point. Now North Branch able to play this one back out to neutral ice, but then chipped back in right away by the Crusaders. North Branch controlling on the far side boards with Jacob Richards. Richards gets it down to the near side. Axberg gets it out into the neutral zone. Chip down in deep as North Branch changes as Kroll flipped it in, and an offensive zone faceoff coming for North Branch here with 15:51 to go in the first period.
A couple of whistles here early, not a ton of tape-to-tape passes, not a ton of speed through the neutral zone yet. I know we're only a minute 9 in, but both teams kind of feeling each other out a little, and whoever can get some momentum sustained in the offensive end is going to really start to try and get some pucks to the net and maybe generate some offense early.
As Cathedral plays it around their own net, now into the neutral zone. This one ahead for Nate Martin. Martin steamrolls his way along the far side boards up into the far side corner, where he's opposed by Andrew Oslin for North Branch. The puck comes free. North Branch trying to gain control of it on the far side of their net. It's loose through the circle as North Branch able to push it out toward the neutral zone. They get it back out to neutral ice. Now it's loose on the MSHSL logo as the Crusaders bring it back into their offensive zone. Nate Martin has it on the near side board, gets it back to the point. Now Martin back on the near side with it, as North Branch trying to control it again as a stick comes free. Wraparound attempt almost successful as it can chip back out toward neutral ice. And able to be chipped through ahead of Justin Axberg for the Vikings. Now the Crusaders get it back into the zone, but then quickly forced back out by North Branch. Some good work down there by Nate Warner. Two North Branch players trying to clear the zone, unable to do it, now able to be sent down into the Crusaders zone, where a big hit put on the behind the net. That was Cody Crowell, the leading goal scorer for the Vikings, who took the brunt of that one, and here come the Crusaders with speed the other way. Here's Warner into the offensive zone, has to play this one back to the corner. Worked his way down into the near side corner. Headed back toward the point, able to be held in by Warner, although Warner's pass ahead ended up being intercepted and back out to neutral ice. Crusaders will set up high in their own zone. I'll chip back out to neutral. This one ahead for Jack Smith. Smith with a good stick move, and there's a shot, and that one's saved by Turek, and we'll have an offensive zone face-off for Cathedral. 14-15 to go in the first period.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching the replay there. I can't tell if that was a save or if it hit the crossbar. It was kind of an odd carom off of whatever it hit up and out of play. But one thing North Branch has to do a better job of here is to make sure they're getting pucks out of the zone and getting pucks deep. They can't be trying to play this loosey-goosey, high-flying transition game. Stay simple, do your job.
As Cathedral able to force it behind their North Branch net off the face-off. It's loose down in the corner, is battling down there for it is Smith. Smith trying to fight his way through a couple of North Branch players. There comes three along the far side boards, and the Vikings able to clear it out, and will go all the way down for an icing. We'll have a face-off back in the North Branch zone with 13:54 to go in the first period, no score.
Yeah, and that brings us actually to our first TV timeout. We're going to stick here with you here during the TV timeout, but always interesting to see is some of these teams. So, for example, St. Cloud Cathedral's got generally on paper a little bit more depth, a little bit more talent on their roster, and so these smaller schools or the teams that may not be quite as deep, a lot of times they're going to use these TV timeouts to really manage ice time. So you might get your top group out right before the 14-minute mark, hopefully, 14:45, somewhere in that range, and then knowing you've got the TV timeout, now they can come right back with that top group again. And so always interesting to see how the coaching staffs manage that. It's something that you don't really think of, is because throughout the year you're not having TV timeouts during your games, and so it's important to use those to your advantage. I remember years ago with Rozo in here, Aaron Ness played 51 full minutes. He never left the ice, but he was having water bottles, squirts every time there was a whistle he could, or every TV timeout. That was when he took his break. So always interesting to see how teams handle that.
Now, speaking of differences between the regular season and the postseason as we get to this point, of course, it's talked about that when you play on a sheet of ice like this, it's an Olympic size, which is larger than what these teams are used to playing on. How does that change the strategy for teams coming in, if at all?
Yeah, so when you get on an Olympic-sized sheet of ice, there's going to be a little bit more space, a little bit more wide open, and so you've got some speed. Teams with speed are going to be able to use that to their advantage, and so that actually comes into play more so when we look over at Mariucci, where they've got that big, wide open, actually bigger than Olympic-sized sheet. And Xcel Energy Center here, we're lucky that it's the NHL ice, and so they've got that more compact rink. But there's inconsistencies all over the state. A lot of teams are going more towards the NHL rinks, but just kind of depends on how the communities can get it done.
As we're back to action and play continuing down in the North Branch zone as the Crusaders controlling. This one centered out front, it's loose and then just pushed wide on the shot by Smith. It's able to be pushed down into the corner where the Vikings will possess it there. Throwing out back into the neutral zone. We're slowing this one down as Bell. Bell will get it down to Borgenholm on the near side. Long pass into the offensive zone, trying to set up it's Perbix in the middle of the ice who couldn't quite handle it, and the Vikings clear it back out all the way back into the Crusader zone with 13:12 to go here in the first period. We're starting to see a little bit, these Crusaders are starting to slowly gain a little bit more footing in the offensive zone.
Yeah, they're able to stretch the ice a little bit, looking rink-wide passes, couple zone passes. That's kind of what they want to do, get that puck moving up ice with speed.
As the Crusaders control now behind their own net, sent this one out to neutral ice. It's swatting at this one back the other direction is Nolan Widman for Cathedral. It's back in the Crusaders zone now. 12:42 to go here in the first period. No score. Haven't really had any good scoring opportunities either way, so we'll have an icing call here.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to watch these two teams. As we mentioned earlier a little bit, they're kind of feeling each other out a little. You mentioned that St. Cloud Cathedral's starting to get their footing some, but right there they don't connect on a pass. The puck goes down to the far end of the ice. We've only had 3 shots on net, 2 for the Vikings, 1 for the Crusaders, and as you mentioned, none of them really a quality opportunity.
The Crusaders control the face-off in their own zone. It's now poked behind the Crusader net. It comes down to the near side corner. And whiffing on the pass, trying to get it out into the neutral zone with Lenzen. Then back out to neutral ice where the Vikings looking to reset, bringing it into the offensive zone is Dawson Johnson, but he has this one sent back out into the neutral zone. The Crusaders coming in offside, so they have to avoid that pass, and the blue line is coming into the offensive zone, taking a shot. That was a good save there, as Kirchner had worked his way free in the slot. The shot saved by the goaltender Amundsen for St. Cloud Cathedral, as the Crusaders able to push it back out to neutral ice. Work it way back into the Viking zone. Vikings now able to send it back and collecting it deep in his own zone. Is CJ Zins. Zins will send it back to the near side, and Lenzen trying to get it up through the neutral zone as this one deflects down into the North Branch zone. Viking played back around to the near side. We're going to slow this one down. Send back out toward neutral ice, and a big hit put on, and absorbing that hit was Jacob Richards as the Crusaders end up with a chance out of it. Turek had to make a save and is able to dive on it out of the crease.
Oh, that chance was spurred by a beautiful hit there at center ice by defenseman John Bell, and that puck went right north as soon as he hit that guy. And nice chance there by Cathedral, and fought off a little bit there by Turek, but he does a good job to rein in the rebound after the initial bounce in front of him, and so he'll face off here to his right. 11:26 to go in the opening frame.
Got the face-off pushed up into the corner. Getting to it first for North Branch is Zach Larson as he sends it along the far side. This one will work its way all the way back into the Cathedral zone, and it'll be caught up to before it can reach the red line. It's Cathedral back to play it in their own zone. Long stretch pass, and if that was able to connect with the intended target, it was Cullen Hiltner who had snuck out into the neutral zone. Might have had a chance going the other way, but the pass a little bit too long for him.
Yeah, and that was just one move too many there. We talked a little earlier about staying simple and getting pucks deep, and that was one little toe pull at center ice there, and instead of getting that puck deep, it went chipped towards the wall into the Pierre Maguire box in between the benches, and we'll face off at center ice.
As Cathedral again controlling the face-off. It's played all the way back deep into the North Branch zone. Turek out of his net will leave it behind. The Vikings trying to play it out of trouble. That top line is making some waves again as Jack Smith doing some great work to force an offensive zone turnover for the Crusaders. Smith still fighting down there, gets it back to the point. This one will go off the stick of Smith as the Vikings able to clear it out. They'll flip this one back down into the Crusader zone. Back to pick it up deep in his own zone and then sending it back the other direction is Braden Balthans. It's sent back up on the far side boards. Crusaders set up in front of the North Branch bench. Does a good job getting the stick in the way of that one by the Vikings. It's trying to set up that pass down on the near side. And the Vikings will clear this one the length of the ice and will go for an icing and a face-off back in the North Branch zone. 10-11 to go in the first period, no score.
Yeah, St. Cloud Cathedral's starting to kind of establish what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the puck, as we mentioned earlier, high and wide. So they're really flying their weak side winger high to the far blue, trying to stretch the ice that way and get their speed going through the neutral zone. And North Branch doing a good job leaving the Crusaders outside, nothing getting through the middle.
As Nate Martin won the face-off, but the shot was blocked immediately. Vikings back into the offensive zone. There's a shot that'll be just pushed wide. There was a good give-and-go setup between Kroll and Matt Courtright. Courtright, who had the go-ahead goal in the section final game against Chisago Lakes in the third period, and they gave the Vikings a 2-1 lead at the time in a game they go on to win 3-2. This play moving back down, a good hit put on by Kroll behind the net, as Martin's able to send it back the other way from behind his own net for Cathedral. And go back out toward neutral ice. So we're back into the North Branch zone where the Vikings play this one ahead. Good stretch pass to the blue line as Jacob Richards dumps it in deep for North Branch as the Vikings will change. St. Cloud Cathedral will set up in their own zone. And a good job to keep the pass in, fighting his way through and then able to get a stick on it, but it was Justin Axberg who fought his way through a body and got actually a pretty good opportunity off, considering, as play continuing now deep in the North Branch zone.
That's a big save by Amundsen there. Man, that could have been trouble for the Crusaders.
Cathedral able to control it high in their own zone. Sent down to Lenzen on the near side. Lenzen sends this one back into the neutral zone. As Cathedral able to gain the offensive zone now, but able to get knocked off the puck. Good defense by North Branch here in the early going. As Roger Thomas able to send it back the other way for North Branch back into the neutral zone as the Crusaders reset. Here's Warner getting knocked off the puck as he gained the blue line. And the Vikings back the other way into the offensive zone as Tucker Sachs able to push this one toward Amundsen, and will have to pick it up.
Yeah, Crusaders got to be careful there. The Vikings came through the neutral zone with speed, and a little bit of a hook there, went unnoticed, but starting to play with fire there. North Branch with 6 shots on goal, only 1 or 2 maybe quality chances, but only 2 for the Crusaders almost halfway through this first period here, just past the halfway point. And so, you know, North Branch kind of settling in now and playing that simple game, and they're just throwing pucks on net. They're going to have to try and maybe get a few more grade A chances going, maybe throw that puck to the net and make sure you've got a second or third man crashing with the stick on the ice. But other than that, North Branch has to be fairly happy with how the first half of this game's gone. So, you know, Derek Brown's down there. It looks like he's in a pretty animated conversation to kind of settle his guys down and start to play Cathedral hockey. I know he wants to see a little bit more flow, a little bit more speed. He really wants to use his depth on defense to get that puck moving forward. They've got a lot of puck movers on the blue line, so should be interesting to see here as we continue to go through this first period, how these teams adjust and who's going to get that first one, who's going to be the one to start the scoring in this year's tournament.
We're just past the midway point of the first period as we hit our second TV timeout, 8:28 to go here in the first period. And we've seen the Vikings have started to, as we were talking about, they've kind of started to push the ice back a little bit. We saw Cathedral were starting to kind of get their footing in the offensive zone, and the Vikings have kind of taken that away from them, as we'll have an offensive zone faceoff for North Branch here. As Dawson Johnson will step into the faceoff circle. It will be to the left of Amundsen, so on the near side. The Vikings occupying the left end of the ice on your device. The Crusaders on the right end.
Yeah, it looks like North Branch setting up a little play here. They've got their winger to the inside towards the slot. They've also got a defenseman high there, too, so they can win that to the wall. 2 options.
Smith wins the face-off, and Cathedral able to send a long pass down into the North Branch zone. Is battling down there. Trying to get to it first was Balfins. It comes around to the near side. Setting up in the middle and sending a shot wide was Nate Warner. It ends up on the far side boards. Backhand shot on the back door, then just sent wide on the shot by Smith. Boy, what a great opportunity there for Cathedral as Turek had not turned around, and there was a pretty good wide open space on the near side of the net.
Oh, he just missed that one. Hit the side of the net instead of the open cage.
Good job. Here come the Vikings the other way, but unable to quite get a good hold on the pass, and then sending a shot that was saved by Amundsen. That was Joey Kirchner, who, boy, I think the North Branch, everybody in the building, oh, there could have been something great coming out of that one, but Kirchner was having a little bit of trouble controlling the pass.
Got to clean those changes up if you're the Crusaders. They had about 7 guys on the ice with the puck right in front of them. No call there. And yeah, that North Branch almost had a 2-on-0. It looked like the puck carried a little bit off the linesman. Probably not the best moment for him, but
as Kirchner gets it ahead into the offensive zone for Crow. Crow with a backhand shot saved by Amundsen.
And North Branch really using their speed now to counter the middle of the ice. And all that was a simple play to the middle, speed through there, and Crow with a nice backhand shot on net. And Amundsen up to the task.
Well, Cody Crowell, we talked about that big 3. Crow, a leading goal scorer, leading point getter for the North Branch Vikings as Cathedral wins the face-off, but taken away. Here's Kroll behind the net with it. He gets knocked off the puck there with a nice hit. And Cathedral able to gain possession there and bring it back the other direction out into the neutral zone. Working his way in and then taking a shot that'll be deflected up into the corner. That was C.J. Zins who made that happen as the Vikings quickly back the other way through transition, but now Cathedral able to disrupt that in the neutral zone. Puck on that MSHSL logo, and here come the Vikings. There's a shot. That one goes high over the top of the net. As that play developed really quickly, that was Jacob Richards to rip that shot high over the top of the net. Quickly works its way back into the North Branch zone, and you can see both teams now, talked about at the TV timeout, they really want to get that first goal, and now both teams trying to get it. Both teams have almost had it as it's loose in the near side circle. As Cathedral's shot is blocked there. We picked up by Jackson Savoy. Savoy trying to center it, and all those bodies going to have a penalty coming here against North Branch.
Yeah, and it looks in front there. They got tangled up. The stick kind of got parallel, and it looks like we're going to have a Crusader power play here. And it looks like number 16 for North Branch, Alec Langman, heading to the box. And looks like an interference call.
Well, Cathedral will get the first power play of the game. As they control the face-off here in the offensive zone. Working his way in is Bogenholm. Bogenholm gets a pass up to the near side circle and then trying to center it, but it sneaks its way back out to the near side point. Another centering feed that's blocked by the Vikings, diving to try to knock that one out of the zone. Was Johnson unable to do so. The Crusaders maintain in that far side circle and to cycle their way down to Warner. Warner's centering feed was blocked as it's poked back down into the near side corner. Crusaders control now behind the North Branch net. That centering feed also blocked. And again, able to be held in. Nice job on the back door by Bolgenholm at the blue line. Centering feed, backhand shot, just pushed wide as working his way free in front of the net was one of the Crusader players. It was Perbix. Perbix will take it back on the near side. Perbix trying to center this one. That deflects, though, off the skate of Justin Sachs for North Branch. Really good offensive zone time for the Crusaders on this power play as Perbix has to recollect this pass. Perbix along the near side boards, works his way back into the middle. Perbix with a shot through traffic. That one was blocked as well. Goes back down to the near side corner. Right back behind the North Branch net. Turnaround shot saved by Sachs. Or rather by Turek, my apologies.
Turek looks like he might have pulled something, or I don't know, he's a little ginger in the net right now.
There's a backhander by Bolgenholm that almost got through. Vikings finally able to clear it back out to neutral ice. What a sequence that was for the Crusaders, but just as equally a great defensive sequence by the Vikings and great goaltending as well. 20 seconds to go in the power play. Circling the net is Savoy. Savoy will get it back to the point in front of the North Branch bench on the far side. As Warner got tangled up with Kroll. Kroll battling. What a job by Kroll as he's able to clear this one out.
Nice job by the sophomore there. North Branch has killed penalties at 86% this year. They kill that one off. And the Crusaders are 24% on the PP, and they come up empty there, but let's see if they can get some momentum going off that.
He's back out at neutral ice. Hiltner almost into the offensive zone, but a good job by Kroll to knock him off the puck. We've seen Kroll doing some great things on offense and defense thus far here in this first period. Certainly a star on both ends of the ice for North Branch. As Hiltner into the offensive zone. That centering feed was blocked as he tried to drive behind the net and center it as he drove toward the net. This one got through, might have gotten to Turek. Backhand shot, they score! And that was Savoy, I think, who got the final tap in. And finally, the scoring drought has ended. And the Crusaders able to gain the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, that was the bounce that the Cathedral Crusaders needed there. As you mentioned, Savoy gets that. There was a shot from the point. It kind of got tipped, it looked like, and bounced there down there low. That shot from the point was from C.J. Zins. The puck bounces to the side of the net, and Savoy just backhands a bouncing puck off the back of the pad of Turek and into the back of the net. And the Crusaders strike first here in the first period. There's 3:35 to go, and it's 1-0 St. Cloud Cathedral.
One of those unfortunate bounces is a great play there by Savoy to use the goaltender's own momentum against him as he banked it in off the back of the goaltender Turek, and the Crusaders take a 1-0 lead here in the first period. 3.5 minutes to go here in this opening frame at the opening game of the 2019 Minnesota State High School League Hockey Tournament as play moves back down into the North Branch zone. The Vikings control behind their own net. And this one to Johnson on the near side. And played now by Axberg behind his own net. Axberg getting tangled up with his own man, Johnson, up in that far side corner. We have Jack Smith down there battling as well. This puck battle continuing up in that far side corner. Now it pokes free with the Crusaders able to control it. Here's Hirschfeld. Jacob Hirschfeld with a shot through traffic. That'll get all the way to the end boards. Cathedral, though, maintaining the offensive zone. The centering feed by Perbix ends up on the far side boards. Back the other direction by Tucker Sachs, who had the game-winning goal against the Chisago Lakes Wildcats in the 5A final. Gave the Vikings a 3-1 lead in a game we talked about. They go on to win 3-2 with the Vikings dump it down deep into the Crusader zone. Now played down into the far side boards by Amundsen, rather. Vikings able to take this one away. Here's Kroll on the near side. Kroll trying to center it. And then the centering feed ends up awkwardly directing in on Amundsen, who has to make this save.
Yeah, that was almost a good bounce their own self for the North Branch Vikings there. Just a pass to the middle of the net there and bounced and almost went in the cage, but Amundsen well prepared to make the stop on his left side. You know, on that goal there, actually that puck was tipped by number 11, Ethan Cumming, and so that goal there is going to read Savoy from Cumming and Zins. And the start that the Cathedral really wanted, maybe not so much, but they get the first goal. They've got the lead. They're outshot 9-5 so far here with 2:14 to go. And Sometimes, you know, when you work hard enough and you just put the puck to the net and you got your stick on the ice, good things happen, and that's what that happened there for Savoy. And so North Branch, don't change anything. Keep pushing, keep working hard, keep getting pucks to the net. And, I think the Vikings got to be a little bit better doing shoot first, shoot first, shoot first, especially Cody Crowell. That kid's a goal scorer. He's the electric. He's kind of the heart and soul of that team. Only a 10th grader, as we mentioned, so a rising talent there for the Vikings, but he needs to be putting pucks on net. I know he has an opportunity to pass it to the back door through a defenseman, but shoot the puck, maybe get the rebound there, and you're a goal scorer. Good things happen when you shoot it.
I just want to remind you, today's game brought to you by Sportsman's Guide in South St. Paul. This Saturday, up to 60% off all merchandise with their Beyond the Puck event. It'll be from 10 a.m. to noon. Noon when the Class A title game, the puck drop of that one here at the Xcel Energy Center. And, of course, two teams hoping to be there. There's only one of these teams will advance from today's game. Getting set for a return to action. Face-off to the left of Amundsen. Kroll will take the face-off for North Branch. As the face-off eventually controlled by the Crusaders, being played behind their own net by Zins. And it ends up being deflected back toward the net. Now the Crusaders losing control. As soon as Jacob Richards will play it around the Crusader net up to the far side corner. Battle ensues on the far side boards as pokes free in the far side circle. As Zins, don't think he was expecting that puck to end up with him as he has to play it back out. Will go all the way down into the North Branch zone. He played behind by Zach Larson. Larson will play this one back out to neutral ice. Vikings 2-on-2 into the offensive zone. Beautiful feed to Kroll, whose shot was saved by Amundsen with the glove.
Love that shoot-first mentality there. As soon as it hit his tape, he knew he was going right to the net with it.
What a good job by the Vikings to knock that puck away, as centering feed there by Cumming. Cumming was streaking into the offensive zone, but a good job by the Vikings to kind of pickpocket him. But there's a shot from behind and then just pushed wide as Sachs was trailing on the play, and Kroll was able to feed him. The Vikings in the neutral zone with it once again coming in. Thomas, though, gets knocked off the puck for under a minute to go here in the first period. As Lenzen trying to get this one ahead into the neutral zone. Perbix slows it down there. Perbix sends it down to Smith on the near side. Smith surveying as he works his way in. He'll take a shot, and Turek will hold on.
Yeah, that was a really good job there by North Branch on that prior rush. Kind of, hockey's become less, you don't really try and get the 3-on-2 on the rush. Now it's more of a 4-on-3. Add that first D-man jumping into the play as the high slot guy, and a good look there. And up to the task again is Amundsen, and North Branch doing a really good job to keep pushing. This is a huge 46.1 seconds here to finish out this period.
Face off in the North Branch zone to the right of Turek is pushed down to the near side boards. Perbix trying to get it. Here's Smith trying to go to the backhand, and I think Turek able to get a hold of that one. I think the net might have come loose as well.
Yeah, it hit Turek there, and I don't know that he knew where it was. It was just sitting out to his right near his pad. Blinded from the official. Official was on the corner on the other side. It looked like he had it covered. But a loose puck there caught a break for North Branch to not have that loose puck and your goaltender laying on the ice.
From the replay, that was a beautiful. Smith had come in on the back door with a long shot from the point. That'll be held onto by Turek again. That was John Bell who let that one go.
Yeah, and it almost looked like Warner might have even tipped that shot. So a nice job by Turek to come up, make that save. He got out on top of his crease there, took away an angle, and smothered it.
The face-off to the left of Turek again in the North Branch zone. It'll be Smith. Smith able to win the face-off once again. And it's free in front of Turek, and the shot deflected wide on the rebound attempt. The Bolgenholm with a shot from the point. Second chance, and play is stopped. For the Vikings able to clear that one out. We're going to have an interference penalty coming here.
Yeah, this one's going to go against defenseman number 10, Zachariah Larson. And he got his stick up, and he gave it a little snag, and down went a Crusader. And untimely penalty there with 19 seconds left in the period. Even if nothing happens here, you know, Cathedral's going to get to start the second period with almost 2 minutes full of PP time. So a big opportunity here for the Crusaders to really start stepping on the gas, and a huge kill coming up for the Vikings.
As Cathedral wins another face-off, Smith has been brilliant in the face-off circle thus far as the Vikings are able to clear it back out to neutral ice. Under 10 seconds to go here in the first period as it's sent back into the Viking zone. And this one will end up being cleared all the way down as the first period comes to an end. Even though Cathedral has the lead, a very well-played first period by the underdogs from North Branch.
Yeah, you know, they had one unlucky bounce, and it was just a puck from the side of the cage that bounced off the goaltender, Turek, and into the net for the Crusaders. And other than that, a pretty good period. They've got to make sure they stay out of the box. I know they've been good on the kill at 86%, but with that high-powered, talented power play from the Crusaders clicking at 24% this year, they've got to be careful or they're going to be playing with fire. And shots on goal for that first period were 10 for the North Branch Vikings and 9 for St. Cloud Cathedral. And again, the Crusaders are going to start with 1:42 of power play time to start that second period.
So I think both teams have a lot of things to be optimistic about as we hit the first intermission here at the Xcel Energy Center. As the first game of the quarterfinals go to the first intermission, 1-0 St. Cloud Cathedral over North Branch. You're watching MNHockey.tv live audio coverage.
Periods of high school hockey state tournament coverage and section playoff time, and one of our great supporters and partners is the Sportsman's Guide, and we're joined by Scott Eichstad, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience and Operations. He's got a big job with a very big company that's located in South St. Paul, Minnesota. And Scott, you had an event last year called the Sportsman's Guide Beyond the Pond Sale. That's year one. This is becoming an annual event because you're bringing it back coming up on March 9th at noon at your store. Thanks for joining us once again, and we're excited to help promote this event for you. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with your event?
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me. And last year was our first annual Beyond the Pond sale event here at the Sportsman's Guide, and it was a success. We partnered with KFAN, and again, we're doing that again this year. They're going to have their live show right on location here in our store in South St. Paul. And Kevin Fallness, Pat Micheletti, and Lou Danny's going to be on site. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for customers to come in and meet the legends within the state of Minnesota hockey, and at the same time take advantage of some incredible one-day only deals, up to 60% off on a lot of product in our store. So we had a great kickoff event last year, and year two, and we foresee doing this year after year here, and the timing of it is great with the state high school hockey tournament, and which I obviously have a passion for on my past with hockey. So we're really looking forward to it.
Well, it's a great event, and it's a time we're all talking about hockey, and there's nothing more pure than high school hockey. I think that's what both of us have talked about a lot, and it's been in our blood for a long time. And there's a lot of traffic that's moving toward the St. Paul area, and I think one of the most important things is about your store. It's phenomenal. I mean, you've got everything in there, and for those that are familiar with it, they know exactly what they need, where they want to go, and what they have to do. But for those that are usually online shoppers, can you tell us a little bit about your in-store experience?
Absolutely. We're, again, Sportsman's Guide. We're in South St. Paul. We've been here. The Sportsman's Guide been around for about 40 years. And, the thing is with our store, whatever your passion, if you're an outdoors person, you're gonna find it in our store. If it's ammunition and shooting supplies, firearms, hunting equipment, tree stands, surplus, boots, shoes, clothing, fishing, camping, you name it, we have it. We have a rare and unique military surplus gear from the United States and all over the world. We've got a huge selection of ammunition that we sell most items in bulk. And then we have this clearance corner that at any given time there's discounts up to 30 to 60% off every day. So, and then a couple of other unique things I think for our store is if you're a first responder, retired or active duty military member, you receive 10% off your purchase or 5% off ammunition and firearms and other select items. Just our way of saying thank you for the men and women out there that support and take care of our country.
Well, Beyond the Pond is one of Minnesota's Twin Cities' only like wall-to-wall hockey shows for 2 hours that you can find, and they're completely plugged in with Pat Micheletti and Brandon Molesky. I don't know if he's going to be a part of it again this year. You mentioned Kevin Fallness will be in the house. Lou Nanny will be there. It's a great time to come in, talk hockey. Check out your up to 60% off on sale items in the store. I suppose that covers just pretty much everything, right, Scott? I mean, I would assume.
Yeah, there's going to be deals and discounts. We're going to have some great drawings. We've got a Hummingbird Helix that's going to be a drawing item. We have some NCHC Frozen Face-Off tickets that are going to be available, and also a special prize from Ruger that you have to come in to see. And so we've got great discounts on anything that you are looking for from an outdoors perspective, activities, and then we've got some great drawing items. And at the same time, you can meet and get to know and listen to the show of Beyond the Pond, and get an opportunity to meet Lou Nanny, Pat Micheletti, and Kevin Fallness. So it's going to be fun.
And then once again, your address in South St. Paul is?
490 Hardman Avenue, South St. Paul, Minnesota. And right off of 494 off Concord Avenue.
Perfect. So it's easy to get there. Either way, you're coming on 494, you exit Concord, you go north about a block or so, and you turn right, and it's right there. Massive, expansive facility. You guys have a warehouse within the store. So the storefront serves great, but then you can actually have people go back and pick your product as well.
That's the unique thing about our store, and that's the exciting thing about our store, is that from a square footage standpoint, it's not overly large, but we are connected to our warehouse, which is 400,000 square feet. So we have over 30,000 unique items in our warehouse that we obviously put into our retail store, some of them. But what's nice about our store, you can come and shop on the kiosk, go on the web, filter through our catalogs, and whatever we have in our warehouse, that shopping experience is taking place in our store. So we can do just a quick will call order. We'll go pick it out of the store, out of the warehouse, bring it into the store. And now, instead of a handful, the assorted items that we have in the store, we're expanding that to the warehouse, which is 30,000 SKUs. So it's a vast variety of items and a large amount of items that a customer can shop at any given time in our one store.
It's a hybrid shopping experience where you can experience the selections of an online purchase, yet you can touch it, feel it, and buy it. It's a great situation. So let's be sure to check out the Sportsman's Guide Beyond the Pond sale. 10 a.m. to noon on March 9th. That's Championship Saturday. Beyond the Pond and the crew will be there. Excited to see year two be even more successful after a great run last year. 60% off items, and you're going to have a number of drawings and things available, tickets as well. It's great stuff, Scott. Thanks for supporting high school hockey and making our coverage possible.
Thanks a lot. You're very welcome, and we're here to serve the public, and we're excited for the event that's coming in the next couple Saturdays here.
We'll be back with more coming up right after this. You are between periods coverage here at the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament, and we're joined by a very special guest. He's known as Matza Matt. He from Brew Pub Pizza and Lots of Matza. Matt, thanks for joining us here today. I know you're a busy guy, and we got lots to talk about. You've got some great product and some of the best ingredients in your pizzas for sure.
Hey, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Brew Pub Lots of Matza Pizzas. Really, the ingredients for a great time, whether you're listening to a hockey game, whether you're enjoying the game and you want a treat afterwards, Brew Pub Lots of Matzas are the way to go. Made with the finest ingredients, Pete. We've got the finest quality meat and veggie ingredients. We've got, of course, a couple of different varieties, too, that folks love, like the Mac Attack, which is a macaroni and cheese pizza. And then the best thing, the one thing that sets Brew Pub Lots of Matza Pizzas apart from the rest, over half a pound of award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella cheese. I've never heard anybody say, whoa, hold on the cheese. That's too much cheese. So we definitely have a great amount of cheese. We've got the great sauce and that thin crust for Brew Pub Lots of Matza Pizzas. It's the best around.
So seriously, whenever you buy a pizza from the grocery store, there's never enough cheese. But I have always known when I buy one of those, the Brew Pub Lots of Matza, I'm more than pleased, more than happy, and it is perfect. You're right, the crust totally grooves. And here's the best part is between periods, what we do know is People like to get up. They like to move around. Now is the time. The oven's already heated up. Throw it in there. And it doesn't take that long to have these things out and ready because you're not baking a loaf of bread.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, pizzas are the answer, whenever you're having friends over, or if it's it's a traditional Friday night pizza for the family, for mom and dad and the kids or whatever the case may be. Brew Pub Lots of Matzo pizzas are the way to go. And the one thing I love about you, it's a filling pizza. Like, you buy some of the other brands that they just, you have one piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're just not satisfied. With the Brew Pub Lots of Matzo, man, with those ingredients, with that cheese, you have a couple of pieces, and boom, you are taken care of. It's a very hearty and just a great pizza.
Except no substitutes. The others are basically an appetizer. This is the meal. So let's talk about some of the things, that you guys do. You've got some really cool things coming up, and especially supporting law enforcement. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a local company, Pete. We've got a production facility in Maple Lake, Minnesota, so made right there. We've got a production facility in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. And one thing about Bernatello's Foods, Bernatello's is the company that owns the Brew Pub Lots of Matzo, and we've got other brands as well. But we really support our veterans. We really support our law enforcement. We feel that it's very important to give back to those who serve us on a regular basis, an everyday basis. And so coming up here in May during National Law Enforcement Week, we're actually going to be tag teaming with a couple of different police departments, like one down in Sioux City. We're going to tag team with the Sioux City Police Department, the Edina Police Department, and then we're going to also tag team with Wausau PD over in Wisconsin. And we're going to host an event called Pizza with Police. The public is invited to come out, purchase a slice of pizza and a soda, and then we're going to donate that money back to a nonprofit organization. For example, in Minnesota, it's going to go back to Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association, and they help pay for the funerals of men and women who have lost their lives in the line of duty. So a phenomenal organization, and we love giving back to veterans as well. So again, just a couple of groups of people that we really love to take care of.
That is absolutely incredible and great stuff by your organization. And how can anybody that's listening to this support and be a part of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can first of all go to your local grocery store and pick up a Brew Pub Lots of Matzo pizza all over the Twin Cities area, actually all over the upper Midwest, extend down to Kansas City, North Dakota, South Dakota, etc. So check us out online too. You can go to bernatellos.com or brewpubpizza.com. And first of all, get yourself a delicious pizza, and then check out our webpage and find out when we're going to be at an event near you. We do a lot of country music festivals during the summer. We're going to be involved in a number of different things in Minnesota. So we're really excited to continue to get out there, shake hands, and let people experience a Brew Pub Lots of Matzo pizza.
Fire that webpage past us real quick.
Yep, it's brewpubpizza.com. So you can go to brewpubpizza.com, and then you'll be able to follow us there. And, of course, on Facebook, too, at Brewpub Pizza.
And then finally, those of you that are part of youth programs know that the Brewpub Lots of Matzo, Bernatello's, obviously the parent company, provides a great fundraising opportunity. And a lot of our listeners are parents that are on boards or coaches or leaders of youth organizations. Tell us how they can make money selling your pizzas for their organizations.
Yeah, this is so exciting. Everybody, families have a great opportunity to raise some funds for their youth teams, for their youth organizations, and it's so simple. So we, Brew Pub Lots of Matzo, we tag team with a local grocery store. Folks that are involved with the team or the organization go out and sell coupons, and then those who buy the coupons can bring it into the grocery store and redeem them right there. So your kids aren't delivering the frozen pizza. So, I mean, I'm sure it's happened before where you forget about the pizza and then before you know it, it's in the back of the car and you forgot to take it to Sally's house. That's not how it is with our fundraiser. So, yes, again, check it out. Check out more information at our webpage, bernatellos.com or brewpubpizza.com. And we've got a lot of great information there on our fundraising. It really is, and it's helped out a lot of teams. Edina, I know, Youth Hockey Association and their high school does it as well. So, check it out. It'd be great for you to come on board.
That's awesome stuff. You don't turn the youth players into your delivery drivers. Instead, as we go to the store, we can pick it up and enjoy great product. Matt, be safe. I know you're out and about, and you're a very busy guy. Thanks for joining us here with the State High School Hockey Tournament coverage. Have yourself a great day, buddy.
Thank you so much, Pete. Appreciate the time.
We'll be back with more high school hockey coming up right after this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back inside the Xcel Energy Center as we get set to start the second period here on mnhockey.tv, your live radio online coverage of the state tournament. Along with Nate Olson, Patrick Olia back with you here in the booth. 1-0 St. Cloud Cathedral after one period, and we'll start the second period on the power play, a minute 42 of penalty time. So a lot to be optimistic about for both teams coming out of that. And I think the stat that really jumped out at me was Cody Crowell for North Branch had 4 shots on goal in that first period.
Yeah, it's important, and he probably could have had 6 or 7 if we're going to be quite honest. And he's the engine that makes North Branch run. You can just see it. He's great in his own end. He's fast. He's getting to pucks. He's working hard, getting into lanes, blocking shots. He's doing everything you ask, and he just needs to keep putting pucks on the net. And good things are going to happen, and ultimately North Branch just has to stay out of the penalty box too here. This is a huge minute 42 to start the second period. We've got the long change this period. I'm sure Derek Brown talked about any adjustments he wanted to make off of their first power play, and it's a big opportunity for them to get up 2-0 and start get this train rolling for them. And if you're North Branch, get some momentum going. If you get a big kill here and stay 5-on-5 and get this thing going, and who knows, maybe get a PP themselves.
The St. Cloud Cathedral, who now moving from left to right in the second period, controls in their own zone as they'll bring it out from behind their own net. Minute 30 to go now on the power play onto the offensive zone. Here's Zins. Zins with a centering feed, and then they try to get it back to Zins, but he'd already moved out of range of the pass. It ends up working back around the North Branch net as this one cleared out all the way down. Nice job by Justin Saxon. The Crusaders will reset again deep in their own zone. 1:12 to go in the period. Rather, 1:10 in the power play, 16:25 to go in the period. My apologies. As Zins cross-ice pass as the Crusaders gain the offensive zone. Zavoy, who has the goal, kicks it back out to the point. Back to Zins on the near side. Zins shot through traffic, loose in front. Zavoy trying to center it. Zavoy will end up with it. He'll circle the net, bring it back around to the near side, kick it back to Zins at the point. Zins shot through traffic, and this one deflected just wide. It'll be picked up by Luke Schmidt. Schmidt will get it back to the point. Here's Zins with it once again. Zins shot through traffic, and this one deflects just wide. Schmidt again with it for the Crusaders. Gets it back to Zins on the near side in the circle. Shot through traffic, and this one deflects wide just again. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Zins ends up back with it in the circle. Centering feed blocked. And North Branch unable to clear, now able to be poked back out to neutral ice as Zins looked for a moment like he was going to be able to hold that one back in.
Yeah, the Vikings got to be careful. Get that puck 200 feet. No stick handle at your own blue line.
Into the offensive zone with speed again as this one backhand the centering feed, though, by Bell. They're being kicked around and again controlled by the Crusaders. Power play about to expire. They score as working his way through the slot and letting the shot go was Smith. It's 2-0.
Yeah, really nice job there. Jack Smith just picks a puck up in the slot, and he kind of wheels out to the left side, which would be the right side of goaltender Mr. Turek, and he does a nice job. He kind of takes the ice that's given to him, slides down towards the face-off dot, and he beats Turek low to the glove side, or excuse me, the blocker side. A beautiful shot there. Turek just got off of his post, off the angle a little bit. A really good shot, and ultimately that's a goal scorer's goal. He took his ice. He had space to walk down just to the face-off dot, as I said, and the left-handed shot, Jack Smith, when you shoot low blocker as a left-handed shot, I think it's highest percentage opportunity to score goals, and the UMD Bulldog commit makes it 2-0 Crusaders.
Thank you. We talked about that long change, and I think you can feel there was a very palpable change in the energy in the arena as we started the second period. It felt like the crowd really hasn't quite settled in yet, and this Turek out front had a bad puck deflect on him, and he was able somehow to keep it out of the net. Here's Smith. Back to Perbix. Perbix through traffic. Shot goes wide. It comes back around to Smith, who will send a shot through the blue. Didn't really get that much of the blue as North Branch back the other direction. Will send it back down deep into the Crusader zone. Works its way back around to the near side. Bell. Yeah, there's a shot that'll be pushed well wide by Matt Courtwright as the Crusaders set up behind their own net. And to get it to Perbix on the near side, it goes off his stick as it'll be dumped down in deep by Jordan Axberg for North Branch. Bell gets it back out toward the neutral zone. Perbix trying to slow it down. Perbix gets it up ahead into the offensive zone. Trying to work his way through a stick was Nate Warner. Warner almost able to make a brilliant move to get toward the net, but had it poked away as sent back out to neutral ice. On the near side was Savoy. Savoy with a shot saved by Turek as it caroms up to the far side boards. As Kirchner gets us ahead to Kroll. Back to Kirchner, back to Kroll. Kroll with a shot. That one saved by Amundsen. And Kroll with his 5th shot on goal of this game as the Vikings able to hold the zone. They'll push it down deep into the corner. Sachs with a centering feed trying to get it to Kroll, but it was deflected down into the corner once again. As Sachs battling down there on the near side boards, trying to get it up toward Kroll. And the Crusaders eventually come out with it, back out to neutral ice, and then quickly into the offensive zone. And there was a shot that saved off the stick of Cullen Hiltner. As a centering feed out front, that one just deflects before it could get to Savoy. Here's Kroll. Back the other direction into the offensive zone. Got knocked off the puck, though, as he gained the blue line, and the Crusaders back the other way. 3 in the circle, trying to work his way toward the net and having it poked away back down into the corner. As Kroll end up with it. Kroll getting it to Axberg. Axberg working his way ahead as he gets tied up by a couple of Crusaders. We got our first penalty coming here against St. Cloud Cathedral.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be number 3, Jacob Hirschfield, going to the box for interference. It looks like a little confusion out there actually as to which Crusader. There were 2 in the area. It's going to be an interference call, and yeah, it's actually going to be on number 11, Ethan Cumming. So Cumming's going to go to the box at the 3:49 mark of the second period. And he's going to sit 2 minutes for interference. North Branch is going to get their first power play of the game, and a huge opportunity here for the Vikings now. They don't have a shot yet here, almost 4 minutes into this period, and a 21% power play throughout the season, and so a really good opportunity here for them to try and get some momentum going and maybe get on the board here and punch back as they trail 2-0 here early in the second period.
Nice. Today's game brought to you by Brew Pub Pizza, lots of matzo, half a pound of award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella cheese. We talked about Cathedral as we came out in the second period. We talked about sort of the energy, kind of has dissipated a little bit. I think that was a big part of that first period. We had a lot of that, back and forth action. It's a lot quieter here as we've gotten the second period going. And I think the key might be for these teams, you have to kind of make your own energy. How would you go about doing that?
Yeah, it's Cathedral did a good job. They scored late in their power play and tried to keep the momentum going from that. North Branch actually did a nice job just starting to move their feet again. A lot of stick checks, a lot of reaching there early in this period for North Branch. And as soon as they started moving their feet, what do you know? They're on the power play here. And so the faceoff's going to be left to Amundsen here as North Branch looks to start their PP and get things rolling.
Yes, Cathedral able to control the face-off behind their own net, bringing it back around to Perbix on the near side. Perbix sends it into the neutral zone, into the offensive zone. Here's Smith. Smith short-handed as it's sent back the other direction as the Vikings send it down to the near side, near the red line as it's played in deep by the Crusaders. As Crow will take it from behind his own net out through the neutral zone, getting it up toward Kirchner. Kirchner trying to get it up toward Kroll as it's lost high up in the zone and sent back out to neutral ice by the Crusaders. Vikings looking to set back up again. Here's Kirchner with it in his own zone, sends it up to the far side in front of the North Branch bench. Kroll coming in offside, maybe a little bit, one move too many.
Yeah, and that's a second or third time we've seen that happen for the Vikings today. And Kroll, that's a little bit of a 10th grader play there, where he, instead of getting his skates north and just entering the zone, he made one little stick hand, threw off his buddies there. They're offside. Got to get the flow going, get in the zone. Nothing turning over, not too many moves at the blue lines.
It's Kroll able to win the face-off, and the Vikings able to send it deep into the Crusaders zone. Back out at neutral ice where Sachs controls for North Branch. Sachs into the offensive zone. Sachs with a shot. That one saved by Amundsen. It comes down to the near side. I think that was just, you talked about in that first period, just start shooting. But here's Savoy into the backhand save, short-handed. Centering feed again, saved, and they score! The third chance rather, ends up in a short-handed goal for the Crusaders. It's 3-0.
Oh, Savoy with a beautiful move there in the neutral zone, and he got the puck on his backhand and just used his speed to fire down the left side of the ice. He threw the puck on net in the backhand. Turek makes the first save. Then there's a puck behind the net. He throws it back up there, Savoy does. Nate Warner's in front, takes a backhand whack, saved by Turek, the second backhand opportunity. beats Turek low on the glove side, and it just trickles behind him. Warner, little delayed reaction actually as he scored that one, but a nice play there, a heads-up play, and it's 3-0, a shorthanded goal, and that was not what the Vikings are looking for, and it's go time now for the Vikings. 3-0. They're staring down the barrel. They got to make sure they push back and start generating some offensive opportunities.
Still 56 seconds to go on the power play, but you said the Vikings, they really need to make something happen in the next 56 seconds, really, to try to keep themselves in this game. 11:59 to go now in the second period, 3-0. St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead as Cathedral able to send this one back deep into the Viking zone, where the Vikings will set up with Johnson behind their own net. Johnson up the far side boards. Johnson trying to work his way through. Johnson will take it all the way into the offensive zone and be able to work his way through a couple of body hits where he's able to finally be knocked off the puck and able to be cleared out by Bell all the way down. It's Turek well out of his net to play it. We'll send this one into the neutral zone. Crusaders at the red line trying to slow it down there, and they'll send it back deep once again. It's away Turek out of his net. Will backhand it up through the far side corner. We're going to get this one toward Kroll. It was out of his reach. It'll end up down on the far side boards. Smith will end up with it for Cathedral. Smith into the offensive zone. Smith trying to do a give and go there. Smith ends up back with the puck. It's ended up in the far side corner. Zins with a shot. The power play has come to an end for North Branch, but realistically, it's a lot more like a power play for St. Cloud Cathedral there.
No shots on that power play for North Branch, and obviously gave up a shorthanded goal, so kind of a worst-case scenario PP for the Vikings.
Yes, Perbix with a quick centering feed, and that one just deflected out of there by the Vikings, but Cathedral able to hold the zone. Perbix on the far side boards. Perbix trying to work his way through the circle. Perbix, though, loses control now and picked up and brought back the other direction by Jake Richards for North Branch out into the neutral zone. Played back out along the near side boards. Perbix on the near side. Perbix working his way in. Perbix looking to center, and that one just out of the reach of Smith on the backside. Here's Kroll into the offensive zone for North Branch. Kroll got knocked off the puck as he tried to drive toward the net, and then Kroll ended up with it back behind the net, and will get it through the corner. There's a long shot by Axberg, and that one almost got through Amundsen.
Hit off the pipe there, tipped in front. Looked like Kroll got a piece of that, and off the pipe.
As Kroll battling his way through Savoy, he'll send it up toward Kirchner on the far side. The puck poked through that far side corner along the far side boards. Now Kirchner, though, able to hold the zone. Kirchner working his way through the circle. Kirchner playing it through the corner. Kirchner trying to get it back from Sachs. And Kirchner getting tied up in the corner. Is a good job up there by Nate Martin, among others, to get him tied up. Kroll able to hold the zone on the back end for North Branch. Kroll will play this one through the corner. Back down to the near side. Battle ensues on the near side boards. Kirchner getting it back up toward Ben Huth. Huth, though, has the puck taken away from him, and Cathedral back into the offensive zone. Oh, what a stick move. Almost getting his way around there was Warner. End up behind the North Branch net. It comes around to the near side. As Axberg loses control of the puck, is Savoy able to take it away from him. Axberg chasing Savoy. Savoy gets it around the North Branch net, comes back to the far side. Bell with a shot. That had to be saved by Turek. Spoke back out toward the blue line, now through the neutral zone, but St. Cloud Cathedral again able to set up. Entering the offensive zone and playing it around deep is Coming. That redirected back the other direction. There's Kroll, end up with it for North Branch. Kroll with Sachs. Kroll with a good move. Kroll trying to center, but that's well out of the reach of everybody. It ends up on the far side. Works its way back down to the near side boards now. As Axberg will play this one in deep for North Branch. As back to pick it up behind his own net is Lenzen. Lenzen on the far side boards. A nice bank to work it away around the North Branch defender, and the Crusaders gain the offensive zone. There's Nate Martin down there as well. As North Branch able to come out, here's Tucker Sachs into the offensive zone. He tried to center it for Kirchner, and this one taken away by the Crusaders. And the Crusaders back into the offensive zone, and Smith tried to center it, but it was blocked. And Axberg getting it back toward the blue line, held in by St. Cloud Cathedral. Centering feed as Axberg doing a good job of getting in the way of that one.
Cathedral's got North Branch running around a little bit in their own end. Had a guy uncovered right in front of the crease. Got to do a better job staying home, playing their systems.
7:35 to go here in the second period as this one ends up on Turek. It's loose out front, still loose, and it's up on the back door just out of the reach of Cumming as North Branch able to get it back out to neutral ice. As the Crusaders dump it down deep into the near side corner. Axberg sends this one toward Sachs, but it's off his stick as the Crusaders collected in their own zone. And out of the near side, here's Luke Schmidt into the offensive zone. Schmidt to Warner. Warner with a shot saved. Turek, they score! I think that was going to be Warner again. There was a player in there at the end who might have been able to deflect it, but I think that'll be Warner's goal ultimately. Regardless, it's 4-0 St. Cloud Cathedral.
Yeah, that looked like Warner as well to me, and Luke Schmidt does a nice job. He catches a stretch pass up the ice near the blue line, gets inside the zone, puts that puck to the middle there to Warner. Warner takes the slot, has plenty of space. Great shot initially, stopped off the shoulder pad there of Turek, but the puck bounces out into the crease. The puck was bouncing, so he didn't crisply get it into the net, but he got enough of it, Warner did, to bury it in the back of the net. And that's going to make it 4-0 for the Crusaders, who are absolutely in cruise control now in this second period. North Branch without a shot. The shot's now 20-10 here in this second period, or throughout the game. But with 7:07 to go in the second period, North Branch without a shot, and St. Cloud Cathedral with 11. And we did just get word here that the play is under review, and it did look initially like there may have been a Crusader near Turek on that rebound, but we'll see what they come up with here in the NHL Hits room, the same room they use for review for the Minnesota Wild games. We don't call out to New York as well, though. We've got all the decisions made right here in the press box.
And of course, interesting, I think, something that I'm sure a lot of people have talked about. I'm not sure how many years that they've utilized the NHL review system. I know that they just introduced it over at the U.S. Bank Stadium for the high school football championships. I think they're checking for an offside actually on this one, but of course the debate's going to be, what level do you just say let kids play? And some people will say, you have the technology, you should use it. But the debate to me has always been if you can't use the same rules for every game, because certainly you're not going to have all of this installed as it is a good goal. And play moves quickly back down into the North Branch zone, so we'll continue this discussion perhaps later on in the game. As Bell able to hold the zone. Bell with a shot through traffic that'll go wide down to the near side. So able to be sent back into the Crusader zone by Jacob Richards. Kroll will control it for North Branch. Kroll trying to drive toward the net, lost control of the puck. He'll get it back in the circle. Kroll with a shot that's blocked. Kroll trying to fight through Bell. Now poked back the other direction, sent down to the near side. Long stretch pass for Perbix. Perbix is going to have a chance. Perbix! Saved by Turek.
Beautiful save by Turek. Perbix shaking up a little. He awkwardly caught an edge and went into the corner there, but a nice move in the neutral zone to spring a breakaway. And Perbix with a two-stick handle move there and just could not slide it 5-hole on Turek, so it's still 4-0.
Well, a great play by Perbix, a great play by Turek. All around as play moves back into the North Branch zone. This one out of the reach of Tucker Sachs, who couldn't quite clear it as it deflected toward the blue line, able to be held in by St. Cloud Cathedral. Now North Branch able to get it back toward Tucker Sachs out in the neutral zone on the near side. They'll reset in their own zone with Andrew Osland. Osland will send this one up to the far side boards, dumped in deep to the Crusader zone. So they tried that long stretch pass again for Cumming. Cumming, though, opposed as he gets it off. That's a nice shot. That one saved by Turek as they had Cumming closed off, but Cumming doing a good job finding Cullen Hittner streaking in through the slot, and he got a shot on Turek.
Yeah, nice play there, and Hittner with a good shot, a nice save by Turek. And the difference in this second period so far has really been the defense for St. Cloud Cathedral. They're deep, they're fast, and we talked about that they can skate and move pucks. They've been moving pucks all day long through the neutral zone now, and their gap is so tight. They're really locking things down in the neutral zone, not giving the North Branch Vikings any space to maneuver. And Cody Crowell, he's the guy that, like we said, has kind of been the engine that's really been rolling for the Vikings, and he's not getting enough space there just because the defensemen are so fantastic and can skate so well. And there's a list. John Bell's a sophomore. Reed Bogenholm is a junior, CJ Zinn's a junior. All three are getting college coaches looking at them, discussing with them. They've taken a few different visits, and so, you know, they've got that pedigree. And I tell you what, man, have they been good in this second period.
Maybe just to finish up what we were talking about for that replay review, I think a lot of people would say, well, you're not going to have these units installed at every arena. That's just not feasible for a long list of reasons. So not really playing under the same rules for a regular season game that you are for a title game. And some people will say, well, that makes a difference because, you know, maybe not as big a deal if a regular season game is decided by something that couldn't be reviewed rather than a game such as this, or maybe one maybe played down the road in the next couple of days. So
yeah, you know, and I've struggled with that thought a little bit. I guess my thought is that no matter what happens, is the 8 teams that are here, it's consistent for all 8. And so one way or the other on that coin, I don't think that there can be a ton of argument one way or the other. I think a lot of it is keep pace of play up. That's my worry more so than the actual rule. But we're at the X, and it's the big stage, and we're going to decide 2 champions this week. And you know, to use the technology here to make sure we've got the right calls made and that everything's taken care of, I think is important too. So,
absolutely, I can certainly understand that as well. As back out in the neutral zone, here's Crowell with a shot that'll be deflected over the top of the net up into the netting.
Crowell really getting a lot of ice now. We've seen him kind of going every other shift here, and big opportunity here for him to start putting pucks to the net. They've only got 2 shots this period. Cathedral's got 15, and they need to start generating something. If they can get a goal here in the next 5:05, make this a 4-1 game, take a minute to regroup at the intermission, and maybe come out and start breaking it down. We always talk about, you know, you've got 5-minute segments in each period and then the last 2. So you've got 3 5-minute segments and then a 2-minute segment. And if you can start winning each 5-minute segment there, that's kind of how you got to look at it. It doesn't all happen all at the snap of a finger. So interested to see here how North Branch comes out of this TV timeout.
They do have a TV timeout, 5:05 to go here in the second period. Once again, along with Nate Olson, I'm Patrick Lilly. Happy to be with you this afternoon from the Xcel Energy Center. The first of 4 games today coming up probably about a half hour following the conclusion of this game. We'll have East Grand Forks taking on Minnesota River. Minnesota River, of course, the other perhaps darling of the tournament, making their first appearance. A conglomerate of a number of players from various towns along the Minnesota River and kind of roughly the valley of the Jolly Green Giant.
I tell you what, I've coached against Minnesota River for years now, and Minnesota River is a heck of a lot easier to remember than LSHPUTC. They've got a ton of great communities that they're here representing, but Minnesota River fits for them, it works, and I like that identity it's given them, and excited for Shea, their head coach of that program, for taking their first step here at the X. It's always a special time, and we can see a ton of blue filling in below us here. It's going to be loud and proud here for the Bulldogs as well.
As we're back to live action, the Crusaders able to get it back out into the neutral zone. Dumped back in by North Branch. Crusaders controlling on the near side as Martin trying to get this one through up to the far side. As play continuing now in the neutral zone as the Vikings able to dump it down deep into the Crusader zone as Bell sends it back along the far side boards. Now redirected the other way by Widman. Widman will send it around to the near side. And Schmidt, as the Crusaders looking to break out from behind their own net. This one intercepted at the blue line. Sachs trying to set up Kroll, and the pass is a little bit too hard for him to handle as it deflects back out into the neutral zone. That's maybe almost the best look that the Vikings have gotten here in the second period.
Yeah, gotta try and capitalize on those when you can. That's a point-blank shot right from the slot, and he just missed on it, just went through his legs. And those are the opportunities you need to start connecting on to dig yourself out of a 4-0 hole.
We're just under 4 minutes to go as we pass the 13-minute mark here of the second period. St. Cloud, or Cathedral, was trailing in the shots on goal 10-9 here when the second period began, but they now lead at 24-12 in that department. Just to give you another idea of just how thoroughly the Crusaders have dominated the second period.
Yep, they've really taken control, and it started in their own end of the ice. They've just taken care of business there. They've really locked down North Branch's opportunities to put pucks on their own net, and then they've got their transition game going. They're fast. They've got depth throughout their lineup, so they can play a consistent style of play that really gets to get up and get going. And it's a very skilled type of play. Seen a lot of college teams going to that. Minnesota Duluth, Mankato does a good job of that. Bob Mott's going to bring that to the Gophers.
It's a backhand shot by Perbix, who was looking for his second goal of the game, was saved by Turek. So Turek, who, you might look at the score, but he's really played a great game in goal.
He has, and to finish on my last point, I don't want to be remiss to forget the #1 team in the country, the St. Cloud State Huskies, who Bob Motzko turned into the model of speed transition hockey. But, that was a nice save there, again by Turek, and these big guns for Cathedral are generating a lot of opportunities there, as you mentioned, with Perbix on that chance.
Trying to sneak this one back down to Hiltner on the near side as Hiltner works his way back into the middle, sends it to the far side. Back toward Hiltner. Hiltner with a shot that was saved again by Turek. Well, Cathedral still blasting away as here's Cumming trying to center it as the centering feed had deflected in awkwardly, almost hit Turek on its way up into the corner. As Cathedral gets it back out to the point, now down to the near side, here's Zins. Zins sends this one through the circle down into the corner. It'll work its way behind the net, send up into the far side where Kroll comes out with it for the Vikings. Vikings back out at neutral ice. As Cathedral redirects it the other direction, back down into the corner, where the Vikings will set up in their own zone once again. There's a long pass for Richard that'll be out of his reach and will end up going for an icing.
2:40 to play here in this second period, and North Branch looks a little frustrated, like they've kind of gotten the wind taken out of their sails, and as we've mentioned many times here, because the Crusaders have done a really good job of creating that and taking control of this game here in the second period. And North Branch needs something good to happen. A goal would be just huge to get their mojo back a little, get that speed going they had. They did a good job getting pucks to the net. They need to get back to skating through pucks and working hard instead of reaching for so many pucks.
It's Perbix controlling now. It's sent loose out front, and there's a shot. They score! There come the Hats. That's going to be Warner's third of the game. It's 5-0 St. Cloud Cathedral.
Yeah, and Perbix just does a good job picking a loose puck up at the front of the top of the circle there, and Jack Smith gets that puck to the net. And what do you know, Mr. Hattrick himself, Mr. Future goal for himself, Nate Warner, with his third of the game. He makes it 5-0 on the rebound for Cathedral, and it's off and running now. The Crusaders show why they are often spoken about as a favorite in this tournament. I know they are the #2 overall seed. Matamidi, the Zephyrs, with the #1 seed, who we'll see later tonight against the New Ulm Eagles at 6 p.m. or shortly after there. But the Cathedral is rolling here now. Warner just picks his spot right on top of the crease. The defenseman for the Vikings lose him, and he buries that in the low left-hand side of the net. And it's 5-0 Cathedral, and they are rolling.
2:31 to go in the second period, and 4 tallies for St. Cloud Cathedral here in the second period. They led 1-0 after one period, and they're quickly right back in as Perbix. What a save on the back door by Turek, as beautiful 2-on-1 evolved very rapidly with him and Smith, and boy, how many times has that happened this season between these two, and they almost collected another one.
Yeah, Turek does a great job just stretching his left pad out. He ended up laying on his stomach, but he made the save, and he was able to cover it. Looks like he may have got a piece of that with his glove even, actually. And so Cathedral, no quitting them. They want to put 10 on the board, and that's the mentality you got to have. They're 2 games away from a state championship if they can finish this one here today.
The Zins for St. Cloud Cathedral able to send this one in, and Turek will just have to hold on to it with the glove. So another face-off coming deep in the North Branch zone with 2:09 to go in the second period.
30 shots on goal now for St. Cloud Cathedral, and 12 for North Branch. And that again turns this into 21-2 here in the second period.
As Martin will take the face-off against Kroll. And the face-off pushed in back behind the North Branch net. And haven't really talked about a lot about just how dominant the Crusaders have been in the face-off circle, and that's kind of where everything begins, and they have really just dominated in the face-off dots this afternoon.
Yeah, and face-offs have really in hockey become a unit win or a unit loss, and what I mean by a unit is the 3 group of forwards together. So Cathedral all bought in, doing a really good job doing their job on the draws.
St. Cloud Cathedral again in the offensive zone. Turek having to make a couple of stops a moment ago as Colin Hiltner was trying to go backdoor on Turek. Play continuing now deep in the North Branch zone, and that centering feed for Martin just out of his reach. But again, the Crusaders able to hold. Centering feed sneaks through. They score.
And that was a shot from the point by Zins. Can't tell for sure if that was tipped in front by Nate Martin or not.
I think it was Widman who got the last, or rather, I think it was Schmidt who's going to the bench first.
Yeah, it looked like Schmidt or Widman could have gotten a stick on that one there. Zins does a nice job getting that puck to the net. An underrated skill for defensemen is just getting the puck to the crease and putting it on net. Really good job there by Zins, and it's 6-0 now with 1:20 to go. And we'll get official word here for you on who officially that goal scorer was. To me, it looks like it may have actually tipped off number 5, Nolan Widman. It redirected. It was kind of going wide of the net, or right side of the net, and it redirected to the left and beat Turek in the 5-hole. And so we'll get official word here, as I mentioned, as they're just reviewing this goal. I think a couple of things there to make sure it was onside. We did get confirmation that goal is good, so it is 6-0 here with 1:20 to play in period 2.
Well, the Crusaders have scored 5 times here in the second period and look to be well on their way to the second round against the winner of the game to follow this one, which will be Minnesota River against East Grand Forks. About to go under a minute to play here in the second period. 6-0, St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. We do hit that 16-minute mark as the Crusaders control in their own zone. Now sent up to the far side boards in front of the bench area as it works its way through the neutral zone, trying to be sent back the other way by Brennan James for the Vikings. Down to the near side coming for St. Cloud Cathedral. He'll gain the offensive zone as it works its way behind the net. As Turek left it behind him. The Vikings looking to break out of their own zone. It comes down to the near side boards. And Zach Larson trying to send it back into the offensive zone. Here's a shot that's blocked. That was Tucker Sachs who had worked his way into the middle. As we're under 20 seconds to go here in the second period. 3-on-2 for the Crusaders. There's a shot that was saved by Turek. Comes back down to the near side, and that was Cullen Hiltner who let that shot go. Under 10 seconds to go in the period. Under 5 seconds to go as play is stopped.
Looks like a hooking penalty coming up, and looks like number 15 for the Crusaders, the defenseman C.J. Zins going to the box here. A little glimmer of hope here for North Branch as they're going to get a PP here with 3.6 left and definitely look like a hook there in the neutral zone. And North Branch, while they may not score here in this 3.6, it's going to give an opportunity to hopefully get some momentum going and just start building on things. And you got to start somewhere, try and get that first goal, and even, you know, from our point of view and in that locker room, it's 2 different views on where this game is headed. North Branch still going to try and believe that they can get this job done. And crazier things in this world have happened. I've seen Minnesota State come back from a 6-goal deficit and win a hockey game against Denver 15 years ago, so it can happen, but they got to start somewhere and start building on not only for the rest of that third period, but also for tomorrow as well.
Remind you, tonight's game brought to you by RJM Construction. For all of your arena needs, building and remodeling, check out their work at the Trio Rink and the Hopkins Pavilion, among others. As we hit the second intermission, just an absolutely dominating performance by St. Cloud Cathedral in that second. They score 5 times, 24 shots on goal to just 3, rather 2 even, for the Vikings in that second period. And we go to the second intermission here at the Xcel Energy Center. You're listening on mnhockey.tv. Live audio tournament coverage. St. Cloud Cathedral leading North Branch 6-0.
Now between periods here, state high school hockey tournament action continues, section and state tournament playoffs. And we're going to talk some goaltending, near and dear to my heart, with Larry Grace Jr. from Optimal Goaltending. And he is, I think in my mind, folks, got it all figured out. So as you're driving to the Xcel Energy Center and listening to us, or if you're at home listening, or you know a goaltender in your family, friends, or it could be your son, daughter, or you're a board member or a coach, this is going to be a discussion, I think, that's going to be very interesting and have a lot of impact on the position, which is a little bit, it's always been a little bit of a mystery. Wouldn't you agree? Welcome aboard, Larry. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks, Pete. Yeah, it's a huge mystery for everyone.
It is a huge mystery from the perspective of what is it? How does it work? You and I kind of come from the same background where we had the great late Warren Strelo, who was very technical. and he had changed the position and how it was played, and obviously it's hybrided into this and that and the next thing. But there's a component that I think is the same, and you brought up a story about how when you were in high school, you didn't think about what you're eating, and now you are. So what you've got is more of an off-ice setup for what you do, as opposed to just, robotronic type of goaltending coaching. Can you talk a little bit about what you do and how you got to it?
Yeah, so what I do is I focus on everything off the ice. It can be anything from performance training, which most people would know as strength and conditioning, the mental part of the game, and just daily preparation. It could be for families who are on a limited budget and said, we want to give our child every opportunity to be a better goalie. How do we do this with this amount of money? So I deal with a wide range of things off the ice, and the whole goal of the program is to give every goalie an opportunity to be the best goalie that they can be, not be the best goalie. And so it's important for me to take everything as an individual and not just as the position of goalie.
So you talked about making them stronger, helping them become stronger, maybe not necessarily in every capacity. There's certain areas that you will focus on. So can you talk about, I think you said there's 3 components for what you do.
Yep. So it can be different for everyone. It could be the same for 2 goalies. If we're talking about maybe a high school goalie, they're looking more at the performance side of things combined with learning how to be a goalie. And what I mean by that is take away the game itself, but everything you do leading up to the game and how that's going to prepare you to perform. When we're talking about a younger goalie, maybe a squirt peewee goalie, we're working on building an athlete here. We're not worried about can they do the reverse VH, can they do a butterfly, how well do they push. I want to create a great athlete. I feel if I create a great athlete, the goaltending coach can then build a great goalie.
Let's go into the athlete part of it as you hone in on a great athlete. I don't want to give away your secret sauce,
Yep.
But what are some of the things? I mean, areas of the body that you focus on to create that great athlete.
It's a great question, and I look at it differently. I feel that creating a great athlete is using games at the youngest levels, not anything specific for goaltending or even the sport of hockey itself. Taking a young boy, young girl, and forcing them to be an athlete. And what I mean by that is I'll give you a simple example of what I do with some of my younger kids. And we play a game that I call Goalie Volleyball. And what I've done is I've taken a court, shrunk it down with cones, and we have a center line. We don't have a net or anything like that, and we use a kid's bouncy ball. And the whole object of the game is for the team of 2 to kick the ball back and forth over the line using any body part. So they can use legs, feet, hands, head. And what I'm trying to do is force them not to think like a volleyball player, not to think like a soccer player, but think like an athlete and react to what is happening to the ball itself and working with your teammate.
What type of growth have you seen in young athletes? Because it's sometimes, and I've been in coaching environments where, God-given fast twitch muscles, there's things that work for people and others that don't, and some you just say, well, I don't know if we're going to get too much out of this one here, but we'll do the best we can. God bless him, great kid. But how much can you maximize out of athletes or goaltenders from various levels of tools that they give you?
The tools that they give me, I can take and maximize them by 100. If they're committed to it and they have a passion for it, they're going to get a ton out of this. Just like anything else in life, if you put some into it, you're going to get something out of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every goalie that works with me is going to make it to the NHL, but I guarantee that any goalie that works with me will be a better goalie tomorrow than they were today. And that's all done by thinking of everyone as an individual and not a goalie.
What do you think goaltenders today's biggest need from an athleticism perspective is? Is it in their feet? Is it in their hips, hands? What is it?
That's a very interesting question. And I did recently just speak with a college goalie coach who had a really unique perspective on this, where he brought up, if we look at European goalies, they have great feet because they play soccer all the time over there. And if you look at American goalies or North American goalies, they've got great hands for the most part. And so when he talked about that, it really resonated with me that that's what I'm trying to do. I want complete athletes who use their hands, use their feet, use their brains, use their eyes. They're not robotic. The one thing I've heard from several goalie coaches from the NHL down to the youth level and everywhere in between is that goaltending has become too robotic. And they have a hard time with some goalies because they are so robotic, like a computer program, that they can't get out of it. And that's really the sole purpose of what I do, is developing an athlete who can then be a goalie that doesn't rely strictly on robotic movements.
Well, there's no such thing as a formula on a 3-on-2 that's changing and evolving in speed and tempo and pace and where they're going to go with it. I've watched goalies in practices, they they square up and the thing's in, and they're on their knees and they're looking around, they're looking at their shoulders, they're looking at their hands, and they're going, well, I did everything perfect. How did it go in? You know, and but that's not what we're talking about here. And so it enhances the tools that the other goalie coaches are giving the players. And you talked a lot about diet too. Is that an area that you focus on?
Yeah, it's something that I speak to. It's one area that I want the goalie themselves to have the want. I can tell them everything and give them every trick in the book. I can refer them to professional dietitians who will break it down to the simplest and smallest little thing. But what I like to do is give them a platform that they can work off of and learn what they haven't been doing correctly and what they have been doing correctly, and how do we make these small changes. Because usually for kids these days, with all the information we have out there from the internet, they're on the right track. They just kind of need one piece here and one piece there. And the parents themselves are also asking questions for their own personal diet themselves. So when it becomes a family thing, it's great for everyone involved.
It's tough when it's an individualistic approach when it comes. It's got to be everybody's got to be all in.
Yep,
I totally agree with you. So then in terms, you have a formula there. In terms of thinking like a goaltender, that really intrigued me when you brought that up in the beginning of our discussion here. I think today about how much better I would be in this day and age, having worked with these guys. You tell them everything to do what you didn't do. I mean, but it's how do you think like a goaltender, both on game day and on non-game day?
Yeah. So with the younger kids, you can kind of start that piece, but they're not ready to, take a full day and really prepare for a game. That piece really starts at the Bantam level, that 8th, 9th grade age range, where the games are competitive. Mistakes are that much smaller to make. And so it's really starting with, it's difficult for someone in school, maybe they're 7 to 3, 9 to 2, whatever it may be, to eat properly, or maybe just stay focused on what's important. And for some goalies that I've worked with, it's been as simple as, let's not think about hockey all day. Let's focus on school. And let's worry about hockey when hockey gets there once school is done. And for other goalies, it's, we need to start focusing the minute we wake up. And so that's where that individual approach comes into play. No two goalies are the same. You have a Martin Berder who has been known to talk to the media for, 50, 60 minutes after, practice, morning skate. And then you have Ed Belfour who wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yep.
And so you really have to learn and meet them as individuals. And I think that's the big piece. And, we had talked about Warren Strelo before, and I recently was talking to a scout who had talked to Warren Strelo back in the day shortly before he passed. And he asked him, you had 3 great goalies in San Jose who all went on to be #1 goalies in the NHL. He said, how did you handle that? And Warren said, I got to know them as individuals, and I was their mentor, before I was their goalie coach. And they would come and visit me in the summer, and we'd spend a week or two together. And It wasn't so much about hockey as it was me learning about them and them learning about me. And when we created that bond, they all started to take off. And so, when I heard that, I thought that's exactly what I'm trying to do here is be that mentor, be the coach, and give them the backbone to succeed. Because I think, and you probably would agree with this too, that back in our day, we did not get a whole lot of support as goalies. There was no one out there that we could talk to.
He and Jack McCartan, for me, were it.
Yep. And so I'm trying to bring that piece in. I mean, you can go and get great performance coaching from a lot of different facilities and a lot of different coaches in this state. But the difference with them and me is I was a goalie. I am a goalie. I know what it feels like, and I want to help every goalie overcome those battles because we do face a lot of them.
So your business model doesn't know any age either, correct? You go from squirts up all the way up.
That is correct. Squirts to the pros.
And so from your to reach out to you, they can email you, correct?
Yeah, you can email me at optimalgoalie@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 952-270-5490. And with today's technology, feel free to text me too.
Please text. That's it. And then you also, to work with youth programs is a great idea. Even if they have an existing goaltending guru or whatever, and a lot of these programs do, they can't do everything that you're suggesting here, and it's good for them to bring you in to work with them.
Yeah, so the difference between me and a goalie coach is a goalie coach focuses on the play on the ice, what to do in certain situations, how to move in and out of the net, up and down, all those great things. What I do is everything off the ice. For an association, it could be as simple as bringing me in to work with the parents to figure out how do the parents feel? Do the parents feel like they're missing something? is there a gap between the board and the association, and what can we do to fill that gap? High school program, it could be the same thing from that, or even setting up a year-round development program for the goalies off the ice.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're a great man, making a big difference in the hockey world. Again, shoot that email and number for us.
Yeah, the email is optimalgoalie@gmail.com, and then the phone number is 952-270-5490, and again, feel free to text me as well.
Larry Grace, Jr., Optimal Goalie. Once again, let's be honest, you just made the position just a little bit better.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
We'll be back with more coming up right after this.
Back here at Xcel Energy Center here with a little over 2 minutes remaining in the second intermission, and it 6-0 here. St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. The shots on goal are 33-12 in favor of the Crusaders, and a minute and 57 of power play time here to start the period for the North Branch Vikings as they look to score their first ever state tournament goal.
Really, so that really tough third period, or second period rather, for the Vikings, but of course on the flip side, just a brilliant period pretty much in every aspect being played by the Crusaders. They scored those 5 goals at 24 shots on goal compared to just 2 for the Vikings in that second period. No, you don't want to, as you were talking about, you don't want to give up. There were still 17 minutes to play and some crazy things have happened, but at some point, you kind of maybe start asking yourself about, what a great season we've had, and, you don't want to get into that mentality, but, 6-0 is going to be a tough hill to overcome.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, even if you lose here today in the quarterfinal games, you get a chance to keep your season alive tomorrow at Mariucci Arena, and so the loser of this game, and if North Branch ends up falling here to St. Cloud Cathedral, They'll play at 10 a.m. tomorrow in the consolation semifinal game against the loser of the next game we've got here, the number 3 seed, the East Grand Forks Green Wave, and Minnesota River, the Bulldogs. So, you got a lot to build on. You got to get some confidence going for there. And ultimately, you're at the state tournament. You're at Xcel Energy Center. Go out there and have fun.
Absolutely.
Just go have fun with it. We took a shellacking at the hands of the Breck Mustangs a few years ago, and that's kind of what it comes down to is remember why you're here. Remember the opportunity that you've got that many other teams in the state would just kill for, and enjoy it. Have fun with it. You're playing at the X with your best friends, the kids you've grown up with your whole life, and just have fun.
I think it's it to start the third period moment.
I think it will be.
We're having a little discussion. We aren't sure about running time, because I had thought somebody had asked that question when I was walking around earlier, and someone had said no. So I guess we'll find out when they drop the puck here to start the final period.
Yeah, I know definitely during the regular season, 6 goals is the magic number to start the clock to keep it running, and we will find out here. I was under the impression that it does run here, but we're going to find out here, and hopefully we don't have to figure that out the rest of the tournament. Hopefully all these games are so fantastic that it is. They're showing on the screen here running time with a 6+ goal lead in the third period. And so we've got the video on the board here with us, but the puck is down and we are off on period number 3 with the Vikings on the power play.
Minute 45 and counting to go in that, as now the Vikings moving from left to right into the offensive zone with Jacob Richards. Richards trying to get it behind him. Richards driving in. There's a shot that's saved by Amundsen. Kroll sent one into the center, and then a one-timer shot was sent wide. That comes back around to the near side boards. Here's Smith into the offensive zone shorthanded. Smith, and there's a shot that'll be sent wide by Warner, who has 3 goals in the game. Another great shorthanded look for the Crusaders.
They actually had a 3-on-1 shorthanded there. It would have been a golden opportunity for North Branch to transition the other way.
Smith trying to get it up to Perbix again in the offensive zone shorthanded for Cathedral. Come the Vikings back the other way. 16:05 to go and counting in regulation. A minute to go in the North Branch power play. They were 0 for 1 on the power play earlier in the game. Battle in the near side corner, pushed back to the blue line, unable to be held in by Kroll. He'll go track it down in the neutral zone. And the Crusaders again, Warner trying to get it up to Smith, whacking away at it out front, and Smith ends up not able to jab it under Turek, who holds on.
Nice little sauce pass there from Warner to the slot. And Smith had more time than he realized sitting in the front of the net there, and was just on top of the crease, and a nice save by Turek, but too much zone time for Cathedral here on this power play for North Branch.
15-17 to go now in regulation as St. Cloud Cathedral again controls the face-off. It's played around to the near side. The Vikings collected in their own zone. Here's Axberg. Axberg gets it behind him, now sent back out into the neutral zone. As it's sent the other way by Lenzen into the North Branch zone. The Vikings control behind their own net. They bring it around to the near side. Now poked out toward neutral ice, where the Crusaders will pick it up there as Cumming gets it up to the far side boards. Now dumped in deep by Lenzen, and Turek has to send that one aside as it Karam is back out into the neutral zone. Now sent in by Osland into the Crusaders zone. Worked its way back around the other direction. Crusaders will play it from behind their own net. Here's Hiltner. Hiltner trying to gain the blue line, but it's poked back the other way by North Branch. And now here's Hiltner again into the offensive zone. Hiltner trying to center. This one slides through Cumming all the way up to the far side corner. Here come the Vikings back the other way. This one poked away by Bell as Vikings tried to gain the blue line. This one down to the near side as Hiltner sends it fast size for Cumming. Cumming into the offensive zone for St. Cloud Cathedral. Nice job taking that one away by Justin Sachs as it's sent down to the near side board, still in the North Branch zone. We played around the centering feed out front, and boy, that happened really quickly there as Austin Howard came free in the slot. Just kind of developed really quickly.
Nice save there by Turek, and he's done a good job staying in the game. It can be tough when you're digging out of a hole like they are at a 6-0 deficit, and he's seen a few pucks that maybe he wants back, a few bad bounces, a few rebounds in front that kind of had some guys not cleared out there, and so doing a good job. Turek is now with 31 saves here in this Class A quarterfinal, and we're on our TV timeout here, the first of the third period. And looking forward to our next game here, too. You know, like we mentioned, we're going to have the number 3 seed, the East Grand Forks Green Wave. They're going to take on Minnesota River, the Bulldogs, who are the representative Section 1A. East Grand Forks out of Section 8. Our second quarterfinal here in the Class A, and that'll be roughly 30 minutes after the completion of this game. We will have that here on MinnesotaHockey.tv for you, MNHockey.tv.
So what is your initial thought about that game? I know it's still a little ways away, but just a quick hitter. No pressure.
Yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to see. To me, East Grand Forks is big. They're physical. They're pretty fast. They do a really good job moving the puck and being tough to play with in the corners, in front of the net. They do a good job of being a good defensive team. Everything for them starts in their own end. They kind of lock you down. They play physical. If you touch the puck, you better know you're going to get hit. And then St. Peter's pretty high flying. They've gotten great goaltending out of their senior Andrew Regner all year long, and they've got nothing to lose. They've got that mentality that people think we don't belong here, and we believe we belong here. They're 19-4, so they believe in themselves. They know how to win, and they're kind of high flying a little bit, fast team. Hunter Wilms, their top player, is a heck of a goal scorer, so it should be a fun matchup here in the second quarterfinal.
As we are back to action here at the Xcel Energy Center, 13:40 to go in regulation, 6-0, St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. Those 5 second period goals. This play continues in the North Branch zone, but then trickle out past the blue line. We'll have an offside here on Cathedral with 13:27 and counting to go.
Yeah, and as that clock runs here, it's, you know, for the seniors particularly, especially on the North Branch side, you want to make sure you're taking every opportunity you can. Be great on your shift, give some great effort. And I know it sounds like, well, that should be easier at the state tournament, but it's something to remember here as the game kind of stays out of reach.
Without the face-off, play pushed down into the Cathedral zone. It'll go for an icing and a face-off coming back deep in the North Branch zone as we go under 13 minutes to play.
Yeah, and you know, there can only be one first ever goal scorer for North Branch in their history at the state tournament, and so that's another key you know, whoever gets that first one here for North Branch, they get to go down in history as the ones that were the first to ever net one at the state tournament. And so another additional thing that they can be working on, and ultimately we talked about, go out there, work hard, and have some fun.
It's Devin Dazo for St. Cloud Cathedral. Shot that one wide off the face-off. It trickles back out. Dazo able to hold it in. Dazo will play it into the corner. That's way behind the net where Hirschfeld will play it back to the point, and Bell gets it back to Dazo on the near side. Dazo trying to center it and ends up being kicked around behind the net. As North Branch looking to break out back the other way. Kicked back out toward neutral ice. It'll work its way past the red line, but the Crusaders will retain possession there. Bell into the offensive zone as he dumps this one in just ahead of Balthins. It comes around to the near side. As whiffing on that one was Hirschfeld. It's pushed back out to neutral ice. And then Bogenholm rips one up into the North Branch bench, and we'll have a face-off with 11:50 and counting to go here in the final period.
That was a good job of that trainer to duck there, man. That could have been a little scary. But, yeah, that puck went into the North Branch bench there, and we'll face off at center ice, where it was the last play there.
So Smith will take the face-off against Kroll. It's rolled its way back down into the Crusader zone. It'll be played by Borgenholm behind the net. It'll be pushed back out in front. There's a shot that's saved by the goaltender, Amundsen. We haven't really had to talk a lot about him these last couple of periods. He just hasn't really seen a lot coming his way.
Yeah, and he's a solid goaltender. He's 20-4 on the year, 198 goals against with a .913 save percentage. So he's been a very good player back there, the backbone of this Crusader team, and a nice opportunity there by Matt Courtwright for the North Branch Vikings.
Courtwright, who you might remember we mentioned, he had the go-ahead goal in that 5A title game in the third period and put the Vikings up 2-1 as Perbix trying to feed it back to Howard on the back door, but that got through Howard and ends up back out at neutral ice. So Perbix and Howard just missing on what would have been a beautiful give and go there is back in the Cathedral zone. Here come the Crusaders the other way, back out through neutral ice. This one flipped in deep down toward Austin on the near side as it's played back around to the far side corner. The Vikings into the offensive zone with it. It's trying to center that one, and then having it deflected the other way was Kroll. Dumped in deep by Alex Langevin. And the Crusaders will send this one back out toward neutral ice with Dazo. Savoy got knocked off that puck as he tried to pass the red line. It ends up back in the North Branch zone. As Savoy almost centers that one for Perbix, but it got through him up onto the far side corner. As Axberg trying to push it the other way, wrap around and then whiffing on it and then taking a big hit was Perbix. Maybe not such a big hit, but enough of a hit to kind of get everybody's attention a little bit as we're under 9:36 to go here in the final period. Back out at neutral ice. The direction brought into the offensive zone by Bogenholm. Bogenholm with a shot, follow-up shot also saved. That was Hirschfeld who closed in on that one. And then the third shot attempt dove on by Turek, and will have a face-off in the North Branch zone. 9:23 to go, and we'll have another TV timeout here.
Yeah, Turek making some nice saves here in the third period. A few point-blank opportunities that the Crusaders have generated, and they're trying to stay simple, keep pucks deep, not let anything get generated offensively for North Branch here with, as you mentioned, 9:23 to go in this third period. And Cathedral trying to do what it can to make sure that they're ready to rock and roll for their next game, which is more than likely going to be Friday at 11 a.m. back here at Xcel Energy Center in the Class A semifinal. And again, they will take on the winner of number 3 East Grand Forks, the Green Wave, who defeated Warroad in their section championship up in Section 8A, and the Minnesota River Bulldogs, the Section 1A representative, a conglomerate of, as you mentioned earlier, schools and towns along the Minnesota River and in that Minnesota River Valley, the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant, as you mentioned. That's a great way to describe it. Kind of the center or focal piece of Minnesota River right there.
So to remind you, tonight's game also brought to you by Sportsman's Guide. They'll have a big event coming up on Saturday, up to 60% off all merchandise when they host their Beyond the Pond event this Saturday afternoon at 10 a.m. It'll lead you right up to the Class A title game, which we will have right here on mnhockey.tv, at least the online radio portion of that. It's sent back out into the neutral zone by North Branch in front of the Viking bench as the Crusaders will reset deep in their own zone with Bogenholm. Bogenholm gets it back out to neutral ice, or it's intercepted by Sachs and back the other direction. There's Bogenholm with it again into the offensive zone for the Crusaders. He got knocked off the puck as he began driving toward the net. A centering feed intercepted by Tucker Sachs for North Branch, who sends it back down deep into the Crusader zone. Crusaders will play it around their own net. We're under 9 minutes to go here in the final period. 6-0, St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. The Crusaders with 5 goals in the second period. As Bell with a backhand shot saved by Turek as it rings its way back around into the neutral zone. As Johnson brings it into the Crusaders zone and then sent back the other direction by the Crusaders. It'll be able to be held in by North Branch as it works its way around to the near side corner. There's Widman getting knocked off the puck by Sachs. Cathedral able to play it back out to neutral ice. Vikings back there to pick it up. Back the other direction is Cade Cooker. As Amundsen has to dive on that puck as it just kind of almost had eyes as it worked its way toward him.
And Joey Kirchner there, almost an excellent opportunity. Stick handle to get free and just got caught up in some traffic there with the Cathedral defenseman. And the puck ended up rolling on net there, but Amundsen up to the task and just past the halfway point here in the third period. Still 6-0. Shots on goal 40-15 in favor of the Crusaders.
Really just 3 shots on, rather, was it 5 shots on goal since the first period for the Vikings, who actually led in shots on goal 10-9 after the first period. It comes back down to the near side and unable to be held in by the Crusaders as they had worked their way back into their offensive zone. And as the Vikings ice the puck, and a face-off coming back in the Viking zone with 7:15 and counting to go here in regulation.
Yep, and that time keeps ticking along, and you got to commend the North Branch faithful as well. Tons of red down there. They've been loud as they can here and cheered on what they can cheer on, and great support out of that community, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's awesome to see hockey really growing in another community here in Minnesota.
Well, we came in this morning, and it looked like pretty much the entire city of North Branch was lined up out front trying to get in the gates to watch this game. And certainly you got to talk about, as you said, the commendable support that they've really embraced this team that, you know, only won 6 games a few years ago, and that was, as you said, that was their high. That was the best they'd ever done, and now they put together really a unquestionably the best 3-year run in school history, and it culminates with their first state title appearance, and unfortunately looks like we'll be ending after just 1 game with 6:10 to go, and they trail by 6 goals. But, you know, really, you just have to commend just what a season that the Vikings had. You know, we talked about the, you know, with the rink, the long days they have, that they, you know, everything gets going, not even 5 a.m., you know, barely enough players to field their own team rather than having to co-op with someone else. As the puck poked up into the Viking bench, and we'll have a TV timeout with 5:47 to go here in regulation. 6-0, St. Cloud Cathedral with this commanding lead. As we talk, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, no, and it's just, you know, for North Branch, they've got 9 seniors down there, so they'll be backs against the wall tomorrow in the consolation to whether they get to play 1 more game on Saturday if their seasons end. And, you know, they've done a really good job. They, you know, you talk a lot about when you get here for the first time, you're raising the bar, you're setting a new height for your program. And hey, this is achievable with North Branch Vikings or the Minnesota River Bulldogs. This is something that we can really do. And so, you know, there's a lot of youth on this North Branch roster as well, a lot of talent. Their youth teams have really been competitive now, and so I think we're looking to see, you know, the beginning of a pretty good and competitive hockey program. And I know they've really worked hard on trying to get themselves their own rink, and they're looking to try and get that done in Stacy, Minnesota, I believe, is where their goal is to have that, and the Youth Hockey Association's been a huge help to that. But fundraising $1.5 million in addition to the support that they've they've got in terms of the loans, I believe, is how they're going to go attack that rink problem is, you know, that's not easy to do. And so they've done a really good job continuing to build. This is a great showcase for the program and hopefully springboards them into not only getting their own arena, but as we mentioned, continuing to grow their association, their program, and hockey across the state of Minnesota.
They come out of the TV timeout, a face-off coming deep in the North Branch zone with 5:47 to go now in regulation. 6-0 St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. Of course, we failed to mention Nate Warner with that 3-goal-in-a-row hat trick. I don't know if you call that a natural one because it wasn't the first 3 goals of the game, though I'm sorry about not quite being up to date on all of that, but there's a turnaround shot by Crowell that just goes wide on the offensive end for North Branch, trying to just get something on the scoreboard, take a little bit of positivity into tomorrow. So they'll have another game. The season not over yet for North Branch. They'll move over to Mariucci tomorrow should they be unable to come back here in the final 5-10. As the Crusaders again in the offensive zone, they score as Fed Schmidt out front. And Schmidt makes it 7-0.
Yeah, Luke Schmidt there on the goal, and a nice job there on the wall for that puck to be kept in by number 3, Jacob Hirschfield, and Smith buries it in front of the net, and it's 7-0 now. And Turek just got caught, and it was on the far side of the net there. He had to try and stretch across, and Smith just gets it inside the net and on the left side of Turek, and his second goal of the tournament and second of the game and only third of the season. So he's done a good job tripling his goal total for the year today.
Didn't quite catch it, but actually North Branch had put in their other goaltender, Braid Wayenberg, at some point. Didn't quite catch when that happened, though Turek's day finished. As Wayenberg will finish things out. It's a good job, though. You don't really want to. If there's one thing you can say about a game like this, everybody gets to play, and so, the backup goaltender gets to say he played at the state tournament as well. Maybe I'm sure he wishes it was 7-0 for his team that he got that opportunity, but, certainly memories that all of these players will take with them forever.
Yeah, he's on the X, and he's playing real meaningful minutes, and that's something that very few get to say.
As driving toward the net and then losing control was coming. As North Branch plays it deep out of their own zone once again. 3.5 minutes to go here in the final period. As the Vikings gain the offensive zone and then getting knocked off the puck as he worked up the near side boards with Justin Axberg as it's sent back out to neutral ice. The Vikings control there. They'll dump it down deep into the near side corner where Bell has it there for the Crusaders. Bell with a spin move to avoid a non-charging Viking as it's sent back out to neutral ice. There's Hiltner into the offensive zone for the Crusaders as he got it up toward Cumming. Cumming, though, got knocked off the puck in front of the net, and the Vikings play it back the other direction, back out to neutral ice. In the offensive zone, here's Axford. Axford slips, though, as he tried to drive toward the net. And Justin Axberg had a great opportunity there, but lost his footing as the Crusaders back the other way. There's a shot that'll go wide. It'll work its way back around to the near side boards. 2:40 to go in regulation. The 2-on-1 perhaps for the Vikings as a shot high over the top of the net. As working his way through the slot was Mitchell Osowski. It's back down in the Viking zone now. As Bogenholm trying to slow it down. Bogenholm trying to center it. It's intercepted by the Vikings. Brought back the other way through neutral ice and then sent down in deep. And the Vikings will change. 2:10 to go. 7-0 St. Cloud Cathedral with the lead. 1 goal in the first, 5 goals in the second. The Vikings continuing to play. There's a shot that'll go wide as it'll come down to the near side, and the Vikings continue play in the offensive zone as it's now booked back out to neutral ice. Here's Kroll. Kroll, what a move. Kroll, though, losing control as he tried to go to the backhand as it's in back out to neutral ice. As Widman gets knocked off the puck as he gained the blue line. Martin reversing direction. His centering feed sneaks its way back out. And it's a long shot by Dazo. It'll work its way up into the corner. Be held in by Bell at the point for the Crusaders. Its way through the corner. 1:23 to go. Driving toward the net as Wayenberg able to hold on to that one. 1:16 and counting to go in regulation.
And we're coming up on a minute to play here. The North Branch faithful cheering a little bit. Looks like maybe a little jawing back and forth going on down there.
We had a penalty here against the Vikings. I think it's going to be Crowell.
And Crowell, the young guy, a little frustrated, I think. He kind of had a Cathedral player get in on the goaltender there, and he tried to make sure he stood up for the junior that's come into the game. And he's going to sit down here, and they'll wait to put that penalty on the board until the puck is dropped here. 35 seconds to go as that clock keeps ticking.
As Cathedral controls the face-off. Cycled back down to the near side. The centering feed working their way in. It's loose out front and then cleaned out by the Vikings back out to neutral ice. Back to pick it up in his own zone is Bogenholm. Bogenholm sent this one through neutral ice into the offensive zone for one last rush to Crusaders. A shot by Pervix that's snagged with the glove by Weyenberg. 5 seconds and counting to go. And that's going to do it. A dominating performance by the heavy favorite St. Cloud Cathedral Crusaders as they win this one 7-0, buoyed by a 5-goal second period. And certainly showing why many people think they will be right there in the mix on Saturday afternoon, Nate.
Yeah, definitely a dominating performance there out of St. Cloud Cathedral, and took a little bit to get going. They ended up getting a nice bounce to get them on the board to make it 1-0 in that first period, and then with 5 second period goals, they really took charge. They locked things down defensively, gave up 5 shots in the last 34 minutes of play there in those last 2 periods, and that's terrific there. And Nate Warner, the gopher commit, with a natural hat trick in that second period. And Cathedral did what they wanted to do after they got rolling there. They moved pucks wide. They used their transition game and got odd man rushes and used their speed and their depth and scoring. And those defensemen played exceptionally well in front of Noah Amundsen. And Amundsen made sure he made all 15 saves here for a shutout, and a well-earned shutout, and console in there. Turek, the goaltender for North Branch, in the handshake line. Always cool to see. There's always a very big, good mutual respect for goaltenders when they compete against one another. And you know, you got to have a certain type of player or person to be willing to stand in front of vulcanized rubber and get hit all the time with it. So St. Cloud Cathedral officially moves to Friday's Class A semifinal, which will be at 11 a.m. and will take on the winner of our next game, East Grand Forks and Minnesota River. And so that'll be coming up here in about 31 minutes or so. And we're going to stick with you here for a few moments and talk a little bit more about that game. And then we're going to actually take you down this year. It's now a new feature for us to provide to you, that we're going to be able to live stream the press conferences right from downstairs, right into your ears. So we're going to make sure we do that.
We do have somebody set up down there. I'm not quite sure what's...
It'll take a little time for these guys to get their stuff off, so you want to just keep it here or whatever you want to do?
We'll keep it here for a little bit. Of course, there's a lot to discuss with
I think we're off the air.
certainly.
When did this happen? 2 minutes ago? After the game?
Cathedral 7 and North Branch 0. And so we're looking here forward to East Grand Forks, the Green Wave. And always a tough team. Tyler Palmisano back behind the bench for the first time since his resignation in 2015. Took some time away, spent it with the family, and he's back ready to lead the Green Wave to try and win their 3rd title. And he's won 2 there with the Green Wave himself. And
so certainly that's going to be an interesting matchup. Of course, we have another, not quite unlike this game, where you have a first-time team taking on a team that, you know, has been there and is expected to, you know, make some noise. Well, nobody's really talked a lot about East Grand Forks. They talk about Cathedral. They talk about Model Medi, of course. But, you know, East Grand Forks, they've been here. You know, and I think that may be a little bit of a benefit when, you don't have people having those eyes on you, expecting you to do that much damage.
Yeah, and it's really important to have a coaching staff that's understood, how the schedule works, what you need to do to prepare to get your team ready, what's worked, what hasn't. They can build off of that. And, I know Minnesota River, likely Shea, their head coach, has reached out to some other coaches that have been here and done their thing to just try and make sure you're ready and the kids are ready to rock and roll and to compete at a high level. I mean, the goal is to not just get here, but once you're here, the goal is to win here. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know Tyler Palmisano does an excellent job. He played at North Dakota for the Fighting Sioux back in the day, and so it'll be interesting to see how his team looks. He's going to have them well prepared and ready to rock and roll. That I do know.
As we're going to set up, we're going to have some extra press conferences for you coming up here on MNHockey.tv following this game. The St. Cloud Cathedral Crusaders win at 7-0 over North Branch. Of course, we talked at length about the season that North Branch had. The unfortunate going to actually wrap things up here on MN Hockey TV for this one, as once again St. Cloud Cathedral wins it 7-0. So for Nate and Pete, we'll be right back on the air here in about a half hour, not quite a half hour, as the East Grand Forks Green Wave take on the Minnesota Bulldogs. That'll be the second game of the day. That'll be coming up in a little less than a half hour. You're listening to MN Hockey TV's live audio coverage